You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Are we on? Hey, welcome to the show on a Monday. I was just closing the door, getting this room all set up to go.
Absolutely.
And here we go. Legal tampering starts at noon. We're 2 hours away. Who cares? We've already got news. The big news, Mitch Morse just agreed to a deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. According to reports, Jags won't confirm that until Wednesday. And by then, he'll already have moved into a house in Jacksonville. Mac Jones is here. That caught everybody's attention. Oh, where are you, the Jags fan base? How do you feel as we begin this crazy week around the NFL? Brent Martineau, along with Austen Lane, Casey Kurtz joined us again. The Brent and Austen Show on a Monday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. What a week it is in Jacksonville. The Players' Championship week starts up tomorrow and should be a beautiful one weather-wise until at least we get to the weekend. We will be out there most of the week this week, so a lot of Players' Championship talk on the horizon here on our new Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. But why wait? Let's just get right to it. And let's go with the latest news first before we get to Mac. Mitch Morse signed, and I think the entire fan base, or at least the ones on Twitter, the vocal fan base says, thank you.
Yeah, it's a giant sigh of relief when you're breaking down free agency of what the Jaguars had to attack. Center was definitely the top of that list. You could have addressed it in the first round, but once again, was the guy going to fall to you? Did you have to trade up to get him? And I'm talking about the guy from Oregon, obviously, because I think that was unequivocally the top center in this draft. Instead, you go in free agency, which I'm a fan of. You upgrade from Luke Fortner. And, yeah, Mitch Morse is a guy last year who played a lot of reps, only gave up one sack. I want to say 20-something pressures. If you go with PFF, graded out okay. But once again, it's a huge upgrade. A guy that's played in Doug Peterson's system before in Kansas City. You got to like what the Jaguars are bringing to the table with this pick.
Yeah, listen, the bottom line is this guy is a Pro Bowler. He played for a very good organization the last handful of years as well, so he knows what it takes to get there. He's a veteran player I like. And you know what? It doesn't even matter. All that doesn't even matter. It's just that it's not the same guy at center. Mm-hmm. With all due respect to Luke Fortner, this team looked like they were running back their offensive line when we left you on Friday, and now everybody can be like, at least something is different. There's something to grab hope on that will be a little bit better on the interior because of this guy, number 60.
Yeah, without a doubt. Once again, having played in Doug Peterson's system before, expecting what to know from Doug Peterson, and obviously being a veteran experience on that line, that's only going to help bolster Trevor Lawrence's confidence as well. Yeah, I mean, an A-plus signing, I think. In terms of, I'm not sure which other centers you could have made a stab at, but I appreciate how he came to Jacksonville. You essentially didn't let him leave, I feel like.
Yeah.
And now he's your guy. I mean, shout out to the Jaguars organization for, whether or not you say it's a lot of money for a center, it's a lot of money to help Trevor Lawrence gain more confidence, and that's all I'm concerned about.
Well, yeah, listen, we're in the business of upgrading around here, right? I think that's what everybody says. How do you upgrade? We had this conversation a lot last week about safeties and other things. Just because you have players, do you upgrade? When do you upgrade? Were there other centers out there? Absolutely. Did the Pittsburgh Steelers have this guy in, and were they coveting him? Sounds like it from all reports. Did the Jags not let him leave Jacksonville without a deal? Yeah. So, I mean, I think this checks a lot of boxes. I don't know if he's one of the best three centers in the National Football League or anything like that. Like I said, I don't know if it even matters at this point. It's not a major deal contract-wise. It's a 2-year deal. I think they said $10 million deal, which basically becomes a $5 million a year deal. And they restructured Brandon Sheriff over the weekend, according to reports. And if you can follow the dollars on this, good luck to you. If you know the salary cap and all the ins and outs of that, holy cow. But the bottom line on the Sheriff thing was they saved $5 million against the cap this year. So they basically got Morse and Sheriff back for the amount that it was going to cost for Sheriff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a pretty good move. That's a pretty good business move, I think.
Yeah, it's a great move. And if you listen to the show at all anytime last week, you heard me explain how this organization, that they need more veterans, right? They need more leadership.
Yeah.
And just doing some research on Mitch Morse and what his teammates say about him and what he brought to the Bills organization, look at any interview with any player on that offensive line, and they all say the same thing about Mitch Morse. He's the dad figure. He's the father figure. He's the leader. And when you bring that type of person this offensive line, number one, but number two, to this organization that is in such need, I feel, of leadership and experience. It checks all the boxes.
That's interesting. The domino effect here of making the move. At face value, it is, okay, we're the dollars. It's a pretty good move from a business standpoint. The Jags got the upgrade. Optic-wise, which this organization is not always good at. Optics, at least for the fan base, where people are like, what is going on in Jacksonville? This one settles everybody down at the very least because you've got a new center. But I like all these other things too, right? The domino of, hey, you do have a leader. You've got another veteran guy. I agree with you. I don't know if I agree with you as much about the leadership. When you say that, it piques my interest because my perception of this team is that they have a good locker room. They have a lot of good leaders. Like, I think from the Zay Jones to the Christian Kirks to the Trevor Lawrence himself to probably a sheriff in the offensive line room to what I would think Evan Ingram now is. I think I could tell you that I think there are a lot of good leaders. I think there are different kinds of leaders, and maybe this guy fits a different category. But the bottom line is leadership also means experience. And the Jags got more experience. I totally agree with that. Sometimes you need to be a little bit longer in the tooth to get where you want to go. And I think there are spots in this organization that youth certainly helps. But then there's other spots that it's like, okay, having a veteran guy here is a good deal. And on the interior of the offensive line, it might not be better. That's probably the ultimate position outside of quarterback to have experience, right? There's a lot going on that interior.
Yeah, we broke down leadership before on this show, and leadership can come in various forms. It can come in the form of doing things the right way. It can come in the form of being a vocal leader. It can come in the form of just being a high-level player and people gravitating towards you. If you talk about Mitch Morse of what kind of leadership he's bringing to the table, once again, all his former teammates are going to echo this. He's the epitome of consistency. He does everything the right way. Obviously he's been on the field a lot. He has a lot of years and he knows how to take care of his body. He's had some injuries, I think a few concussions, but overall has been on the field a lot. And when you talk about that in terms of consistency, that's what this offense is missing right now more than anything. It's the consistency point. Drop balls, stupid penalties, blowing up plays. You bring a guy that's consistent like that, yeah, I think that is going to be a leader just because, number one, don't need him to chew everybody out all the time. Don't need you to lead the huddles and break down everything and get everybody riled up. Maybe he does do that. Doesn't matter. All I need you to do is suit up every single Sunday, be consistent, and be the beacon of leadership, and we're good to go. I think Mitch Morse can definitely do that.
I think there are a couple of comments here in the chat that I think are interesting. Steve Boston jumps in, says they went from a 36th graded center, if you like the PFF stuff, to a middle-of-the-pack big upgrade, right? So even that, you're right. If you go from the bottom to the middle, that's a hefty upgrade in that spot. And then YB400 says, veterans on that offensive line now, and this is a good point. Cam, Ezra, Morse, Sheriff, and obviously Anton Harrison is the young pup. But you had Fortner, you had Barch, inexperienced, you had Harrison, and at times you were even playing a younger player in Walker Little on that left side of the line. I still don't know what this left tackle spot looks like. I don't know what it means for Walker Little and Cam Robinson. That's a story maybe for a little bit later on in the show or even down the road. We've had the discussion before, but as the dominoes continue to fall, we have not seen them create space by making a move with Cam. I do wonder if Walker Little now is a trade target if they're going to keep Cam. I'm still not convinced keeping Cam's the right move from a business standpoint. Could they create more dollars if they want to go make a big splash signing in the next day or two? I think they could. So I don't know exactly what's going on with left tackle, but I think this is a great point by YB400. He said that they are more veteran now. That offensive line is more veteran. Now, that doesn't mean continuity because you still got to play with each other for a long time. If you look at, I think, Sheriff and Harrison, they're going to have a lot of games together. That's good for that tandem on that right side. But at least you get longer in the tooth on that offensive front. And I really, if you look at their offense, Austin, Trevor's played a lot of football games now in the NFL. Travis Etienne's played a lot of football games in the NFL. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones. We'll see what happens with Calvin Ridley. And this offensive line now is a very experienced. This offense alone is a very experienced offensive line.
And one more thing, too, to talk about, with Mitch Morse and what he can bring to the table. Keep in mind what the Bills looked like last year for the first part of the season. They were underachieving. Their offense was a dumpster fire. They choose to fire Ken Dorsey They bring in Joe Brady, and they completely switched the offense around. And now all of a sudden they're more of a running first team, with James Cook. And I watched a lot of this because, I had James Cook in fantasy, and that helped out towards the end of the year.
That was pretty good, actually.
Towards the end of the year, yeah, not too shabby. But my point is that they had to change their identity halfway through the season. They went from, Josh Allen, it's all in your arm, it's all in your running abilities, to, hey, James Cook, here's the ball 30 times, let's play some power football and see what happens. And obviously when you talk about that change in terms of mindset, in terms of running the rock first, in terms of being physical, that starts on offensive line. And once again, Mitch Morse was a part of that. So I like that as well.
Mitch Morse Monday we got here in Jackson. Mitch Monday.
Yeah.
I love it. People are excited. I knew this would be the move, man. I've been telling you for a couple of weeks. If they just make a move at center, it doesn't matter what they do at left guard with Ezra Cleveland. Doesn't matter what they do with Sheriff. Doesn't matter what they do with even left tackle. Like the offensive line, they needed to upgrade center. We thought this was such a big deal from a fan perspective alone that we were asking questions, at least I was, asking questions, what's the bigger move, keeping Ridley or upgrading center, or just getting a new body at center? And honestly, I believe getting a new body at center is very debatable with keeping Ridley. Now, from an optics standpoint, I don't know if it makes you better on a football field as much as keeping Ridley, but I think from a pulse of the fan, I think this move wins the day in the next couple of days. And when they lose Ridley, most likely in the next couple of days, I think it at least helps alleviate some of that feeling that people are going to be pissed about.
Now, do you feel lied to after what Doug Peterson said about Luke Fortner? Because you thought that Luke might have been the guy going forward because Doug Peterson was praising him.
Yeah, I don't feel lied to in that respect. Okay. I didn't necessarily say that I thought they were not going to add anybody. I thought they'd add somebody the whole way. And I think he even indicated that. But I did think it was a vote of confidence for him.
You explained the possibility of Luke Fortner remaining the center just because of how Doug Peterson was talking about him.
Yeah, until we got to this day where they actually made a move, I think you had to assume that.
Yeah.
And especially with the corresponding moves that they were making. And I said this last week, and I'll continue to say, I feel like I get to the point where I understand that you're like, it sounds like I'm defending the organization. I'm not. We've been very critical of the organization too. But I do think we also get to the point around here where it's like every move is just lambasted. Like the Ezra Cleveland thing got people thinking, okay, now everything's going to stay the same because you have the left tackles. Probably Sheriff's going to stay. You got Harrison. Fortner's still on the roster. Haven't made a move against center. And then Ezra Cleveland's coming back. And I'm like, well, the thing I started to echo a lot last week was, what was the alternative to Ezra Cleveland? Like, I don't know if Ezra Cleveland's the best move. I get it. He was on the roster the second half of last year, but it's not like I can see they're going to take at number 17 the best guard that ever played college football, or there's this great guard at the left side that's out there in free agency. Nobody had a plan B from that spot. So I couldn't criticize that move as much without an alternative plan. I think Sheriff played pretty well last year for the Jags. Now, the restructuring was important because he was going to make a lot of money. The dead money also didn't make sense, and you created that situation last year if you're the front office of the Jags. So really what they have done now that they have added Mitch Morse, I really don't mind them bringing the other stuff back. I like Anton Harrison. I'm curious now what goes on with Walker Little and with Cam Robinson. I'll say this. I'm a fan of Cam Robinson. But from a business standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep him. He's played half the games in the last 2 years, and you could save $16 million at left tackle if you let him go. Mm-hmm. Walker Little makes a hell of a lot more sense from a business standpoint because he'll also play on his final year of his rookie deal, Austin, which will put a chip on his shoulder. He's a cheaper option, playing with motivation. So if I'm in that front office, that's probably the move I'm suggesting. Well, wouldn't they have already made that move by now to clear space if they were going to do it?
You think they would, unless there's some kind of trade candidates that we're not seeing right now. I mean, that's always
either guy, right?
It's always a possibility. I mean, I would think more for Cam Robinson because Luke, Walker Little is more of the unknown right now. Cam Robinson, you know what you're getting a little bit. I mean, you could theoretically say, you know what, and I know you hate to hear this, but they keep both of them and just have depth purposes, right? And it's not a testament to Walker Little because I think that kind of sucks for him, obviously, but. Welcome to the NFL. You know, sometimes you're at the mercy of where the coaching staff wants to put you or the GM wants to assign you. And yeah, I think Walker Little not being able to get his starting reps already so far into his career is definitely a crime, but that's the way it goes sometimes. You know, we have a little bit of breaking news right now too.
Well,
I mean, not
around the league.
Somebody wants a trade.
Oh, T.
So
does that come? I saw it on our chat.
Yeah,
but
it's
was
official.
He's actually come out and said he wants to trade?
Adam
Schefter has it.
Yep. Casey, you want to bring it home with Adam Schefter?
You can't wait for this, can you?
No, I just said
no, not you, Casey. Hey, Austin will tell you in a minute why he's so excited about this news.
Well, not anymore because you don't have Calvin Ridley. So
hey, if you want to trade linemen all day, you got 2 to trade. They need linemen. You guys may need a receiver. I'm just saying, if you're talking trade candidates.
A little Cam Robinson for a little T. Higgins?
Yeah, you never know.
Okay. But Adam Schefter reporting that Bengals franchise wide receiver T. Higgins has requested a trade per sources. Higgins loves Cincinnati and hoped that to be with the team long term, but is disappointed. Okay, but is disappointed that the team has not had any talks about a long-term contract extension since March 2023. Yikes. He's ready to move on to a new home.
Well, listen, this is something, by the way, this is why I joke with Austin. He had mentioned that if the Jags were to be able to tag Ridley, then potentially become a trade, like Ridley and a draft pick, I think you said, right?
Correct.
For Higgins, then sign Higgins to a long-term deal. Very entertaining, and I mean...
And then Cincinnati could obviously pay Ridley a little cheaper because obviously he's not T. Higgins.
Yeah, and they don't have to invest long-term because it doesn't look like they want to because they're going to have to invest long-term in Jamar Chase and other things. So it really would fit. Like
everyone's happy.
Yeah, everybody would be happy. Now, I don't know if that's the way this goes down, but could the Jags be a player? Seriously, they have offensive line problems all the time in Cincinnati. Walker Little, Cam Robinson, and then whatever else. Do the Jags start to get a little froggy here with the idea of a T. Higgins situation? I mean, if you go T. Higgins, I'll see you later, Calvin Ridley, right? No problem.
No, we're all good. I mean, with all due respect to Calvin, if you have a chance to get T. Higgins, you get T. Higgins. What is the price going to be? I mean, they'll probably ask for 2 first round or something just to try to stir up the pot a little bit in Cincinnati.
How about that second round pick that you were going to give up if you had to re-sign Calvin Ridley?
It's a possibility, so just give up a second round pick and that's it.
Too, right? But
so you think just a second round pick is going to get you?
It might be more.
I think it'll be more.
They have
than
2
that.
fourths too, so it could be like a second and a fourth.
Yeah,
and a player though. I mean, a left tackle's a premier position.
So you're saying what? Walker Little or Cam Robinson?
Cam. Let's just take the more experienced
Cam Robinson and a second round pick. Yeah, I mean you could see that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the trade value is, but if you have an unhappy player, you lose a little leverage. You're only going to have him for 1 year. It doesn't look like they're interested in signing him.
But I feel like he was unhappy last year, too, and nothing really became of it. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I mean, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm exhausting all options here.
They've got Orlando Brown already in Cincinnati.
At the left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, who's their right? Because then Walker Little potentially you could, if you do that, he can play both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't make any sense, but it's an interesting thing with T. Higgins coming out today and obviously them putting that out there. It also could get settled in Cincinnati with T. Higgins. We will see. And because the other part of the T. Higgins thing is if they do franchise tag him, maybe they move on from him halfway through the year, depending on how things are going, right? I mean, because there's trade deadline later on. He could become a candidate, so they get something for him rather than nothing for him. That is always part of the deal. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, and a big Monday as legal tampering begins at noon. Okay, we waited 18 minutes to get to the Mac Jones part of this story. First of all, let's just say this. I mean, the Mac Jones thing was stunning. I was like, really? What happened? Is this real? Like, had to check that one. That was that kind of move, wasn't it? I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Maybe my radar wasn't up for news at whatever time that happened, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock or something on a Sunday before all this. How surprised were you?
I mean, I thought Adam Schefter got hacked for a second because I had to conform with 3. Okay, Ian Rappaport, that one checks out. Okay, Adam Schefter, okay, that checks out. I guess the Jaguars are getting Mac Jones. I was shocked. It makes 0 sense to me. And I get what people are saying in terms of, it's only a 6. I don't care about the pick.
Yeah.
I don't care about the 6th round pick, obviously, and the Jaguars don't really either. Look at their history of 6th round picks. By the way, I was a 5th round pick, so don't even go there, Brent. But when we talk about what it means, here's my biggest complaint about Mac Jones getting traded to Jacksonville.
Okay.
In my opinion, there's 3 scenarios that you have for backup quarterback. The first one being a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you think Trevor Lawrence is in competition right now with Mac Jones?
Nope.
All right, so throw it off the table.
Yep.
Second scenario, You bring in an experienced guy like, a Chase Daniel, because he's been around systems for a while. He's a known backup quarterback, and you can bounce ideas, you can bounce questions off of him. Third scenario, you bring in a younger guy to help groom him to eventually be the starter, a la like they did with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. This situation doesn't fit any of those scenarios. So to me, it makes zero sense. You're going to bring in a guy that's essentially the same age as Trevor Lawrence, same experience as Trevor Lawrence, and how does that help you from the backup quarterback position?
Well, I think it helps in a couple of areas.
Okay.
We talk a lot about optics, what it means to the fans and everything else. I think this one is a little bit of an optic play when it comes to inside the building. You are going to, and we want to, again, safety conversation, this conversation, we're going to bring in competition for Luke Fortner. They just did. I mean, this guy's going to be the starter, but, it looks, you can at least present it as competition. I do think if you're saying, hey, here's our franchise quarterback in Trevor. We love Trevor. Even Trevor didn't play as well as he had hoped, but we are going to bring in competition. Do I really think it's competition? No. But
I think Mac Jones thinks it's competition.
That's fine.
But that's an issue.
And
do you know makes a backup quarterback a great backup quarterback? They know they're a backup quarterback.
Well, I do think Mac Jones knows he's a backup quarterback right now in the NFL.
Okay.
Is he going to get a starting job anywhere else? He wouldn't.
I think Mac Jones thinks he can start for this team. I really do.
Listen, you think, I think that too from a competitive standpoint. Could he get the job done? I think he knows crystal clear who the quarterback is of this franchise. I actually think he's got a lot of Gardner Minshew in him. And from that sense, I know you're looking at this as a negative, like, hey, I think I can start. I'm the better guy, blah, blah, blah. I think when Gardner went to Philadelphia, I think he knew he was the backup quarterback.
Of course.
He had to settle into that role, even though he's built a lot like Mac, where he's like feisty guy that thinks he's probably better than Jalen Hurts. Because that's the way you got to think. But I think he also settled into that role. Never heard any complaints out of Philadelphia about it. So I think this is a little bit similar to that spot. I think it preaches competition a little bit internally. But the bigger thing is this. You just gave us 3 scenarios, but you're missing a fourth.
Hit me with it.
The fourth is a new one. The bottom line in the NFL is quarterbacks get hurt.
Okay.
68 or 70 something, whatever the number is, it's up over 68 each of the last 2 seasons in the NFL. The amount of quarterbacks that have played in the National Football League and started a game, I think, 68 or 70 each of the last 2 seasons. Everybody needs their backup to step in at some point in this 17-game season, the way defensive fronts are, all of that. You need to be better there. And I think this is an opportunity for the Jags to get better. I think Mac's a better player than C.J. Beathard.
Okay.
I don't know that, by the way. I don't know how marginal that is. I don't dislike C.J. Beathard. But this also was a savings of about $2 million when you might have got a better player in Mac Jones to back up your quarterback. So I think it's really quite simple. I think you better be good at the backup spot or you're screwed. And I do think internally it's okay to preach competition, even though we know who the starter is clear and away and who's the guy. I don't think this sends a bad message. And I got to believe and I got to hope that Trevor knew about this and it was coming and was okay with it.
Do you think he's really okay with it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think we paint the outside picture sometimes of too. I think because we, on the outside as fans, see too much of the drama that could build. More so than what Trevor's saying. Trevor's like, yeah, what the heck, man? Let's go. I do not think Trevor cares that Mac Jones is now in the quarterback room.
Okay.
I don't. I get why people would say, oh, no, this could be.
I mean, I think he definitely said, interesting. Because once again, you want to talk about your fourth scenario where you need a backup quarterback to win you games. What about Mac Jones last season thinks that he can win games for this team?
Not last season, but, he's won games in his NFL career. I just think he's a better player.
He also went 2-9 last year with 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He got benched for Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, listen, his last 2 years have not been good. It's been tumultuous. But C.J. Beathard made 14 starts in the NFL and won 1 game before last year.
Okay.
So, there's nothing that says he can win either in the NFL, right?
I hear you.
Who's better? Seriously, who do you think's a better player?
C.J. Beathard or Mac Jones?
Yeah.
I take experience over Mac Jones right now.
Really? Yeah.
Because once again, listen, if we're talking about backup first of all, horrible attitude to have to say, you know what? If Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, what's the backup plan? Like, I don't have those conversations at all.
No, yes, you do.
What do you mean, yes, you do?
Why not?
If we're talking about Trevor Lawrence getting hurt this up-and-coming season.
He got hurt 3 times in the last 6 weeks.
Okay, and what happened with the season? So, like, to me, if Mac Jones, Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Ryan Tannehill, whoever the backup quarterback is, this team's in trouble. Okay? This isn't like the Kansas City Chiefs with Chad Henne, where it's like, you know what, we have all the pieces in place to be successful. We're all good. Chad Henne go in there and beat the Jaguars in the playoffs. It's not like that. If Trevor Lawrence does indeed go down, I hate to tell you, I think the season's going to be over.
That's what everybody says. But you know what? You can't plan on that anymore.
I don't plan on Trevor Lawrence getting hurt.
You have to have a backup option that's viable to.
Correct.
Josh Dobbs saved the Minnesota Vikings season, and some people would say hurt their chances to go get another next quarterback because he went 2-2. Now, he was horrendous in like the final couple of games, but he won a couple of games for them to actually keep their season alive for a month.
And guess what? Josh Dobbs is a great quarterback because he's been around the NFL for a long time, has a lot of experience, is a very smart guy, and guess what? Knows that he's a backup quarterback. I can't say those same things about Mac Jones. So, yeah, I can't come with you and say I enjoy Mac Jones coming to Jacksonville because the risk versus the reward, once again, don't care about the 6th-round pick whatsoever. Throw him away. Don't care. My only issue is, does he know he's a backup quarterback? I think that's up for debate. And number 2, does he have experience? Can you bounce ideas off of? Can you bounce questions off of him? Well, I think it's kind of hard to. Same age essentially as Trevor Lawrence is.
Yeah, and it might be. That dynamic might be more difficult. I can get there with you. I understand what you're saying. I just also think that you better be better than just the guy that's old. I mean, if you think you can be better at that spot in case you need him, I'd rather have the guy that might be better and feel pretty good about my backup. I mean, listen, everybody talks about Trent Baalke on this move. This is a Doug Peterson move to me. This is all Doug. Doug knows he won with a backup quarterback. He won the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. He was a backup quarterback for 20 years. You think this move's getting made without Doug Peterson approving this move? He knows the value of it. He knows the importance of it. And this is where I think we get soft. Trevor Lawrence is one of the great talents we've seen come out of college and high school and everything in the last 10, 15 years. Whether he's generational or not, whether he's as good in the NFL as you thought he would be, that's not the point. He's so good. He's really gifted. He doesn't give a damn who you bring in here. He's better than that guy. He doesn't care. He is better. We know he's better. Mac knows he's better. Trevor knows he's better. Doug knows he's better. Trent knows he's better. He doesn't care who you bring in here. You can bring in Justin Fields if you want, and Trevor will be like, yeah, so what? I'm 10 times better than him.
Let me ask you this, why don't the Kansas City Chiefs do this? Why don't the Kansas City Chiefs go with the younger route then and say, you know what, let's bring in a guy that's Patrick Mahomes' age or even younger? Because, hey, Patrick Mahomes, his running capabilities, he's been hurt in the past. Why not go with the younger direction in the Kansas City Chiefs?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because it's not what you do.
Not what the Chiefs do.
I think it's not what a lot of teams do.
Patrick Mahomes has missed how many games?
I have no idea, man. You tell me. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
None.
I mean, he was out for.
I don't know if he missed a start. I don't feel like he's missed a start.
I think Chad Henne got one start over him in the prime time game. I don't know.
The Chiefs did this in a different way. They had Alex Smith, MVP candidate,
sure.
and brought in Patrick Mahomes. They created competition. The New England Patriots did this under Brady. They drafted second-round quarterbacks and third-round quarterbacks. Didn't bother Brady.
Because Brady was experienced then, Brent. Like, he was the guy. Like Brady,
I don't know what year they brought in Garoppolo or how. I guess
mean, Brady had to have like
career.
6 or 7 years at least in the NFL before they brought in Jimmy.
Yeah, probably did. I don't know, man. I can't come there with getting better at a position that you almost every team has to play their backup quarterback. Even this one, this guy's tough and he's healthy, and they had to play their backup quarterback in a critical game last year. And I mean, it's just the business now. I think it's just changed. The Mac thing just doesn't bother me as much as everybody else. Now, listen, I'll come with you on this. If we find out that it bothers Trevor, then shame on the organization. Because I think that's what people are saying. It's like, well, okay, well, everybody who said, hey, let's upgrade the offensive line, Trevor, you got to take care of Trevor. Well, they just did it this morning, so you can check that box. Now people are saying, well, he wants Calvin Ridley back. I mean, is he going to the wall for Calvin Ridley? I don't know. He said it in front of a microphone. And now you're going to bring in some competition? Again, he ain't scared of that competition. If it's getting you better, I think he understands it. And some would say taking away one of his good buddies in C.J. Beathard. Well, this is a business, all right? This isn't hanging out at the country club and let's play golf. I bet there have been a lot of buddies that have been cut.
Sure.
Along the way. So I'm not concerned about Trevor here. I think he's a lot tougher than everybody else is saying.
I'm not questioning the toughness. I'm not questioning Trevor Lawrence thinks that Mac Jones is taking his starting spot. All I'm questioning is having a backup quarterback from your draft class that is your exact same age or maybe has you beat by a couple months is the best possible outcome for your quarterback development. And I don't think it is. I think bringing in a veteran who has a lot of experience, who's played in a lot of offenses that you can bounce ideas off of is going to be more beneficial to Trevor Lawrence's development as a quarterback than bringing in a guy who's the exact same age, who is coming to Jacksonville, whether you believe it or not, with intentions of, you know what? If something happens here with Trevor, I'm going to be the guy going forward for a long time to come.
Yeah, well, it's. I think there are people that believe that too. We're getting a bunch of conversation, and we'll get to that. Let's take a break. We're way late. A lot happened around the NFL. Looks like Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent, according to reports. Obviously, Russell Wilson goes to Pittsburgh. Made a lot of sense. What does this mean for Justin Fields too? We'll get to that down the road because if you're trying to play matchmaker, I don't know where his match is right now for Fields. Could Fields be in a similar situation where he goes and backs somebody up? Now, maybe it's like a Geno Smith or somebody like that with a little less cachet, but it'll be interesting. Jags are making some moves. Did they surprise us? Did they go make a big one like hey, let's go trade for T. Higgins or something like that? This is a fun 48 hours or so around the National Football League because everything is seemingly on the table. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 in a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Yeah, we are. And the big news of the day, if you're just jumping in, Mitch Morse, center out of Buffalo, who spent the last few years in Buffalo, is coming to Jacksonville on a 2-year deal, according to reports. Jags won't confirm any of these reports until Wednesday, but an upgrade at the center position. It looks like Luke Fortner, who, by the way, goes into a depth role here with a lot of experience, and then I think, well, that's not bad. I mean, you got a guy that's played the position quite a bit. Obviously, the organization still believes in him, but they had to make a move here. And kudos to the organization for making a move, upgrading this spot. I think the rest doesn't matter on the offensive line now. I think people will be happy with this, and I'm okay with what they've done on the rest of the offensive line, even though it does feel like they're running it back with just the addition of one player. In fact, they even signed Blake Hance today as well. So they're trying to keep continuity as much as possible, but they actually get the upgrade, and in doing so, they add to the depth behind now Morse, if they're going to keep Fortner. We'll see what they do with Walker Little and Cam Robinson. But what I do like and appreciate about this part, Austin, is we've been begging the organization, or at least, I think I've been saying this a bunch, admit to your mistakes, right? Like, don't be stubborn. You got to admit somewhere along the way that you made a mistake. You can't just keep telling us that this guy's good and getting it done when we're seeing video and other things that tell otherwise. When you can't run on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, when you can't pick up a yard for 2 years in the National Football League with this guy as your center, you need to do something else about it rather than just go draft an offensive lineman, draft a tight end, draft another running back. And they did. So to their credit, it seems like they admitted the mistake.
Yes, correct. And that's the first step of recovery, right? Is admitting that you have a problem. And there was an offensive line problem here last year. There might have been a center problem a little bit here last year. So shout out to Trent Bulking Company for taking the proper steps, recognizing the flaws, correcting them, and moving on.
I want to get Casey in here for a second. I don't know how his hands are, how much he's got going on in there, but I'm going to put him on the spot anyway. Back on the Mac Jones trade a little bit in this conversation, and it's an interesting talker here in Jacksonville. And I like your points, by the way. I'm not as bothered by the points that you bring up in this situation. I do Again, we might get to a point in a few months where this is like you start to hear rumblings of Trevor or the room or whatever else. We might also hear rumblings that, hey, there's not enough experience in that room. What I do lend more, I think about it from an experience standpoint, is you do have not only Doug, who's played the position, but even a guy like Mike McCoy, who's a QB coach, who's been around the block a bunch. They've got experience in that room to begin with, and maybe they think they're okay in that way.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, I think getting coaching and answering questions from a coach is different than getting coaching and asking questions from a teammate. I think those are two different categories. Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, once again, I'm not hating on the 6th-round pick that the Jaguars are giving up.
Yeah, we agree on that, by the way.
I'm not hating on even Mac Jones as a football player. Like, best of luck to him. What I don't like, and this is the issue, if I was a GM, it's simple to me. I have two piles. Does this help Trevor Lawrence, or does this hinder Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence, his development is what I'm concerned about right now. So if you're asking, bring a guy that's Trevor Lawrence's age, that doesn't really have in terms of a skill set a lot to write home about so far that we've seen, and in terms of is coming to Jacksonville, in my opinion, to try to be a starter, that's going to go in, no, it doesn't benefit Trevor Lawrence pile.
Yeah, Casey, I want to get your thoughts. And the reason why I asked this is because the national folks seem to like the move, at least the people that I saw. I saw a couple people jump in after the move was made. I also saw Scott Van Pelt last night, he kind of knows Jacksonville a bit because I think he pays a little close attention to it, even though they don't talk about it every night on his show or even during the season. His wife's from here. And so he was like, I think this is a good move for Jacksonville. So the national folks' perspective was for a 6th-round pick, the Mac Jones move was a good move. I feel like locally, Casey, there's way more debate about it. There's like a pick a side about the Mac Jones stuff. Where do you fall on it?
No, I'm with it. I think I understand what Austin's saying, but also, Brent, I feel like we talked about this a little bit in that other spot we were doing the show for a while. Is Trevor Lawrence in the position where he doesn't need the veteran guy in the room? And Austin thinks he does. I think he's at the point where you know what you're getting with Trevor Lawrence. He's developed a decent bit, if not almost an entire bit. And having Mac Jones as your backup, I'm intrigued by it because I'm a believer in Mac Jones. His first year was good. And when you take away all of your offensive coaches and put defensive coaches as your offensive coaches, you kind of expect the numbers that he had, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm thrilled they got rid of a pick. Love it. Hate the picks. Get rid of them. And I'm on board.
Here's the deal. I mean, this part of it for Mac, again, this is going to sound like his defense of Mac Jones. It's not. Mac had a good rookie year. They set him up very nicely. I mean, he threw 3 passes against Buffalo one game, and they won. I mean, they did a lot of good things. They absolutely screwed Mac Jones. I tweeted this yesterday. Between the rookie year of Urban Meyer for Trevor, and especially the second year, but probably even some of the third year with Belichick, for Mac, that room's got some stories to tell now.
I believe it.
Because they did not set that guy up for development, right? I mean, Mac got totally stalled out. Now, did he create some of that? I don't know. It depends what you read out of New England. But I think Casey's right here. I mean, the bottom line is, Mac, they didn't give him an offensive coordinator. And Belichick started to outsmart himself, get old, do whatever, lose his mind. I don't know. But the last 2 years were not a good situation for Mac Jones. Whether he played poorly, played into it, I'm sure that's part of the equation. But they didn't set him up well. It did remind me a little bit of the Urban first year. You're set up almost to fail.
Let me ask you guys this because you guys are on the same page here. Do you think do you think it's going to bring competition then to Trevor Lawrence?
I think it will be a subtle, again, I think it's a subconscious more than it is like a thing. But I think I just get the idea, man. Trevor, from everything I can gather, he wants to be great.
No, of course.
I don't think guys like that need somebody behind him, but I also think it doesn't hurt to get a little bit of you can get too comfortable. Can you get too comfortable with a guy like CJ Beathard there? Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm just saying, in case of are you kind of in the same realm? I don't know, you're kind of busy back there. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. But, Casey, in terms of Mac Jones coming to Jacksonville, you know how I feel about it. I think Mac Jones is coming here thinking, you know what, I might have a chance to start one day for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you think there will be some sort of a breed of a competition in training camp and through all this stuff?
I mean, no. I think it does make Trevor Lawrence better, but I mean, Mac Jones. If Mac Jones is starting for the Jags, something's gone terribly wrong.
No, and once again, I'm not saying. All I'm saying is that if we're talking about even in the realm of a possibility of where, hey, let's bring in some guy for some competition for Trevor Lawrence, right? Because maybe he's getting a little too complacent. Then is Trevor Lawrence really that guy?
That's a good point.
And that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If the optics are saying, you know what, let's go ahead and bring in Mac Jones. You know, let's let a fire into Trevor Lawrence a little bit. Light a fire into Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
How did we go from being a generational type quarterback like NFL analysts were saying to now, well, let's bring in some competition because the guy needs a little push?
I would agree with.
Can't have that both ways.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, and that's why I think I answered it like, yeah, maybe there's a subconscious, but I don't think he cares. Like, I don't really think he cares if you brought in freaking Patrick Mahomes. I think guys like that are confident that they're the better guy. No, that's a little different. That's a little dramatic, right? But my point is that's the mentality. Guys, that's the mentality these guys have. Trevor knows he's good. Trevor thinks he's good. He knows he's good. Does he trust everything else around him to think they are as good as he is? That's where I think the problem with this organization is right now. I think Trevor, you said this, I think, a couple days ago. He knows what good looks like.
Yeah.
He's trying to get everybody else to know what good looks like. I mean, keep in mind, you do come from a college program where they bring in guys all the time, 5 stars to back you up. Did that bother him? I don't think so at Clemson, right? So, yeah, I think Trevor is – I think that's a great point you bring up. They have a bigger problem if Trevor is concerned about competition because he should be night and day better than Mac Jones, and I think he is.
I do as well.
I do like the idea, though, that this is the role that Mac Jones had, like at Alabama. Bro was like 4th on the depth chart, and all of a sudden,
here we go.
Is starting.
So trying to speak it into existence.
All I'm saying is that he's been there. That's all I'm saying.
Could we burn some sage or something? Because now Casey's bringing bad juju.
Listen,
onto the show.
We all wore black. I thought this was like a Trevor Lawrence funeral type thing. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, listen, it was going to be a funeral for this free agency, and all of a sudden they got Mitch Morse, and now I'm like, okay, I'm back.
That's a good point on Mac. Listen, I get what Austin's saying about Mac. I do believe there's a feistiness to Mac. I believe there's also this confidence that you have to have. Do you still think Blaine Gabbert thinks he can play in the National Football League if given the opportunity? I think so.
Sure, but when Blaine Gabbert went to Kansas City,
he knew what his role was.
You know what's up.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and I get what that means. You're saying, like, you know what it is.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Mahomes, here's your water.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Henny's actually a great example here, right? Henny was given an opportunity to start in Miami, and he was given an opportunity to start in Jacksonville. And it got to the point when he got yanked in Jacksonville for Bortles, he had to kind of then say, all right, I had my 2 chances. I'm a backup. And then when he went to Kansas City, he obviously knew he was a backup. So I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily think Mac is all the way there, if I'm being honest. But I do think he understands the landscape, and his people probably understand the landscape. Listen, you had a tough couple of years. You have to resurrect this thing. Go find yourself. This will be good for you. Take a step back, establish yourself as a backup, and in another year, you might get an opportunity to go compete in Carolina for a struggling Bryce Young or somebody like become the not either Sam Darnold or like even a Baker role. Like, Baker had to settle back into a backup spot before he could eventually get the next opportunity. We just saw Gardner Minshew do the same thing.
Listen, all I'm going to say is if I'm Trevor Lawrence, like, I'm not Patrick Mahomes yet, but I got to have that Patrick Mahomes mindset. And the first day that Mac Jones comes in that building, first time we go to him is like, hey, man, by the way, I prefer my Pedialyte grape, so go ahead and get me one of those, please. Welcome to the Jaguars, Mac. Hey, I'll take a great Pedialyte. Thank you.
Let's get to some the stories in the chat.
Establish dominance, Brent.
You got to establish that dominance. Can't pick center at number 17, even though Powers Johnson is elite. So they got Mitch Morse, says Glenn. That is one thing about this move. Again, another domino effect here. They're not picking center. Cross it off the board.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that starts to narrow down what you might take at 17. And for my liking, it might make it more advantageous that you're going to draft a receiver. Because I think if you get one that falls, I would love to see the Jags do that. They went from, we already said Steve Boston, the upgrade there, the veterans with YB. Let's see. Happy Mitch Morse Monday has been a thing. Trent even getting some love. Holy cow, what is going on? The elephant in the room is Mac Jones. I really don't think it's as big of an elephant, but we'll see how that plays out. Let's see what else. There was something else I wanted to get to. Higgins probably just a ploy to pressure Cincinnati into a contract, but if he really wants out, Bulky absolutely has to find a way to get him to Duval. That would be I could really jump on board the T. Higgins train. My one curiosity with Higgins is, can he be a number one? But I'd love to find out.
Well, and he wants to be a number one. And keep in mind, I don't think it's all smoke and mirrors with T. Higgins because they're trying to pay Jamar Chase as well. And if they work out a contract with Jamar Chase before they work out a contract with T. Higgins, how is he going to feel?
Yeah.
There's no way.
I think it's pretty obvious how he feels.
He wants out.
Yeah. Z Fortner 89 agrees with you. Feel like Trevor is not happy with this move. He likes CJ, and Mac isn't the type of backup we need. Trevor is still young. Need a vet. Could be a win if Mac Jones looks functional in preseason, increases trade value for the future possibly. That's an interesting way to look at it. Now, I don't think you acquire somebody to trade them, but it is an interesting scenario where if somebody's quarterback goes down and supply and demand become a thing, then Mac Jones, in some of his time playing here in the preseason, could become a viable option where you gave up a sixth and maybe you get a fifth or a fourth as an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well happen.
Yeah. I could see that. But I don't really think that's why you actually go get Mac Jones here in this situation. Honestly, the number one reason I think they got Mac Jones was to save $2 million against the cap.
Yeah, I guess.
With like a wash of a player, and then also save $2 million against the cap. They got cheaper for this year and created a little more space with maybe a better player, but even if it's the same player, just a younger player.
Does it scare you that the Jaguars are the only team to actually offer some kind of draft? And once again, 6th-round pick, don't really care. But I'm just saying, does it worry you that nobody else even threw a little bit of something at Mac Jones?
I would say it doesn't worry me, first of all. I wonder sometimes how well Trent plays the trade market. And the reason I say that is because you can have your knocks against Dave Caldwell as a GM, and there are plenty of reasons. I thought he was very good at trade value. I mean, he once got a sixth for Blaine Gabbert, right? He got a lot for Jalen Ramsey in terms of the actual capital that he got back. Like, he has made good trades it was the one thing, if you highlighted the trades of Dave Caldwell, they actually were pretty good. Yeah. But I don't know if Trent feels that way to me. Like, Trent, I'm not telling you he makes bad ones, but we're also sitting here, we might be sitting here in the next 24 hours continuing to criticize for trading for Ridley on the rental for a 3rd and a 5th round pick, right?
Correct.
So I don't think he's as good at that game. I did later come out, by the way, that I think 4 teams were interested. Now, whether Trent picked up the phone, called Ian Rappaport and said, hey, 4 teams were interested, I have no idea. But it did come out. It did come out a little bit later on. And when it's got a Rappaport tweet, you never know if it came from inside Jags headquarters is kind of the story.
I forgot all about
around
that.
here.
Yeah.
So let's see what else. I got a couple other ones in here. Brent, if things go sideways for the Jags next season, who does Shad Khan stick with? Bulky, Peterson, Trevor, Duval, Jags. Everybody else is gone probably. If things go that sideways in Jacksonville, you might have to reset it again. Even as I'm high on Doug, but if they really crap the bed next season, I don't know if anybody's surviving it. Dear Mr. Brent and Mr. Austen.
Nice.
We got misters.
I like that.
How about this?
Respect.
Under any circumstances, could this be Carson Wentz, Nick Foles type of situation? We all thought Wentz had nothing to worry about, too. That's pretty interesting. They spent $5 million. See, I always think about that Foles thing, not because of the result, but see how it started. Foles was a guy I think that they paid about $5 million to be the backup. And I remember at the time saying, they've spent what? Spend how much money to be a backup? Mm-hmm. They raised the level. Well, guess what? Doug helped change the game for backup quarterbacks. He started to show the importance of it. I don't know if that's because he was one or it just worked out that way because Wentz got hurt and Foles ends up winning the Super Bowl. But ever since then, we've seen like Geno Smith, $7 million to be a backup quarterback, right? Like we've seen bigger contracts for that.
I don't think it's the same just because, once again, at that time, Foles had a lot more experience than Wentz did. So to me, Foles fit that backup quarterback role better just because he had played in Doug Peterson's system before. I think he had him by like 3 or 4 seasons. So he's already like acclimated to the NFL. And Carson Wentz was still getting ingrained. I think with Mac Jones and I know with Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones, they're essentially the same age. Essentially, Trevor Lawrence has more experience than Mac Jones in terms of starts. So I don't think it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, what else is going to happen? Anything today for the Jags? Do we see something on Ridley? Is there a splash play? Is Mitch Morse going to be the highlight of this week for the Jacksonville Jaguars? And obviously the Mac Jones is kind of a highlight just because of the name recognition.
How desperate are we if a center is the highlight of the Jaguars free agency, but that very well might be, and I'm happy to say that. I think Calvin Ridley's going to be the next domino. It's just a matter of fact of where is he going to land. And I think Calvin could actually take his time here as well, too. You know, take all the offers. You're a free agent now. Enjoy the process. First time ever for your career. So he could kind of mind his time a little bit.
A couple other things just real quick. Headline-wise, I just saw a tweet about Rayshon Jenkins. This actually came out yesterday. He was visiting with the Seahawks. We'll visit the 49ers next, so that could be the next place. No doubt Rayshon was going to jump on. So I think I saw Darius Williams with the Giants potentially as a place he could go. Foley Fatukasi goes to Houston on a one-year deal.
Yeah, I mean...
It is what it is, right?
It is what it is. Like, obviously... You wish him nothing but the best, but now I'm going to be disappointed if this guy's like, you know, a Pro Bowler. And
disappointed? I'm going to be furious if you start stopping the run.
I know, that's true, yeah. But, I mean, I want to see he's a cool guy, man. I want to see him do well, but, yeah, it had to be in Houston. Come on, man.
Yeah, here's what I think it's actually maybe the better part of this is it says maybe they won't go out after somebody like Christian Wilkins. Are they going to Band-Aid that
God,
up?
I hope so, Brent.
Because
keep him out of the AFC South,
again, they've
please.
got a ton of money. They're a player that could go get like the eyes on Houston right now and the rest of the AFC South because they have dollars to spend is like, who scares you, right? Houston could have ended up with or could still end up with Saquon Barkley and Christian Wilkins.
I mean,
like if they make those two moves alone, people are like, oh, boy.
Well, I think one person in here had Houston winning the division this past year, and that was Casey Kurtz. So let's go to the Houston corner real quick.
He had him second.
Casey.
Oh, whoa.
Casey, how do you feel about Houston?
Second.
No,
Brett, I had them winning 5.5 or more games.
I'm just saying the day that I listened, which wasn't a lot, but the day I listened, Casey was saying how he thought Nico Collins was a little underrated.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud could be that guy, and Houston might win the division. So with that being said, Casey, how you like Houston this year?
Like them.
Dead last.
Like them.
Hey, you take the under, please.
No under. Only overs here. Thank you.
Houston could be a scary player this week, though. Really, they could.
Oh, don't say that,
for
Brent.
Jacksonville, and that's the other side to keep an eye on. We will take a break and talk about how about another quarterback in the AFC North. What's the factor of Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh and the domino effect? Kirk Cousins could be headed to Atlanta or at least headed to free agency. That looks like it's definitely going to happen. A lot going on in the NFL. And oh, by the way, it's Players Championship week too. The Live Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Navigating to that perfect car can be a daunting task. Trust me, I understand, but if you want to find the perfect blend of sales and service for your automotive needs, look no further than the Tom Bush family of dealerships.
Here at Tom Bush, they do things right. Dating back to 1970, they've been a staple in the community, giving back and keeping everything local. With 4 different brands to choose from, BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, and Mini, there's a car for every member of the family, and the customer service is second to none. Looking to add an electric vehicle to your fleet? Tom Bush remains at the forefront of new technology with plenty of staff on hand to walk you through the future of driving and help eligible customers file for that EV tax credit.
Whether you're looking for your future driver's first car or you want to step up to luxury and arrive in style, the Tom Bush family of dealership is the only stop that you need to make.
Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory at tombush.com.
Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville: FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years, and they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Get outside.
Yeah. All right.
Make friends.
Yeah.
Learn life lessons with the First Tee.
Golf is kind of like life in a way.
You can take some stuff you learn on the course and take that and use it in every single day life.
Donate to First Tee's Play Day campaign and everybody wins.
For every $10 you've donated, you're entered to win a free round with a buddy
at the stadium course, home of the players, with this guy, Len Matisse. Scan the code on your screen or visit actionnewsjax.com to learn more.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Welcome back, 11 o'clock hour. This one's going to move fast, by the way, today. Really, the next couple of days should be a lot of fun with all the stuff happening around the National Football League. And you might see it before us sometime, so let us know. I got something on the chat that said Justin Simmons. Is there some Justin Simmons smoke out there for the Jags? Okay. Or are people just wondering because Justin Simmons is available? We did actually talk about that a little last week with the safety stuff. Could the Jags upgrade? There was a huge list of safeties that are available. Rayshon Jenkins now in the mix, but some good-looking safeties, some names that you know, and we wondered if maybe there could be a potential upgrade there. I tend to doubt it, but you never know.
You never know. I mean, if there's a spot to upgrade that spot, but you got to keep it within reason, right? Like the safety spot right now, you feel pretty comfortable with. You know, I'm thinking more of that cornerback spot, Brent. I'm thinking more of the wide receiver right now than I'm a safety.
Do you like the legal tampering period? Like, does this whole thing even make any sense? The league year starts on Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. And the tampering starts at noon, and all the reports come out today. It's like, why don't you guys just do this stuff at the combine and just tell us then?
Well, and this is what I don't get. If the tampering starts Wednesday, but guys are already signing with
tampering starts today.
Today.
The league year starts Wednesday.
The league year starts Wednesday.
They can't become official. You know
but okay, I'm not trying to snitch on anything, all right? This is a zero snitch zone here.
I think they're snitching on themselves.
There's a zero snitch zone here. But okay, for instance, like Mitch Morse.
Yeah.
Like you had to get – there's some tampering, right? Like there's a little,
like it's already
fandangling.
Done.
You know what I'm saying? There's a little something.
It's already done.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, the tampering part may come to like the T. Higgins stuff. The trade.
Okay.
That's a very good point. Like, what is actually the where is the tampering
once again,
line?
This is a snitch-free zone, but I saw Trevor Lawrence following Gabe Davis on Instagram.
I did too.
I saw
Mitch Morse, didn't he?
And Mitch Morse as well. I saw Trevor Lawrence following Gabe Davis on Instagram. Not snitching. It's public knowledge. But I'm just saying, I saw it.
You know, it's a really good question. Like sometimes if you just ask,
they don't even know, Brent. It's fine. It's like what's a catch? You don't know what it is.
It's like if my kid were to ask me, like, so what does legal tampering even mean? I'm like, yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this is the day that a lot of fun happens around the National Football League, so we're all right with it. It's like when the NCAA tournament, college basketball. That's why college basketball, in my opinion, got away with cheating for so long.
Yeah,
is because people are like, yeah, whatever. What's my bracket say? Like, that's what's good for me is good for me.
Yeah,
you know.
So here's the NFL definition of legal tampering. Teams can start negotiating with players who will become unrestricted free agents when their contracts expire at the start of the new league year, 4 p.m. EDT on Wednesday. Players can't sign with new teams until the league year officially begins. The 2-day negotiating period applies only to players who will be unrestricted free agents. So then let me ask you this. Is that where the agent comes into play then? It's like the middleman, where maybe you're not talking to the player, you're talking to the player's agent. Then that agent refers information to his player.
Obviously, yeah. And
okay.
I think so. That's really the loophole in it.
Yeah.
Most likely. And I mean, you could talk to an agent.
Man.
Any day.
I handled my non-compete all differently. I should have. Dang it, man. A year off the books, I didn't have to. Should have got an agent.
It could have been a middleman here.
Come on.
I could have been your middleman.
What am I? I can't be a middleman. Unbelievable. Sorry. Yeah, it's rough, ain't it? Yeah, a little bit.
You mentioned Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
You had brought him up, I think, a couple weeks ago, last week, whatever it was. Do you like the idea? I know it's not Calvin Ridley. We discussed that. It's like not the number one guy. But in the mix, like a trio of receivers, does it still fit?
I mean,
if it were to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Trevor's 1 for 1 so far and following guys and coming to Jacksonville.
Let's go. So. If we're talking about how do I like Gabe Davis, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk, that doesn't do it for me. Now, if you want to bring in Gabe Davis, assuming you probably get rid of Zay Jones then, and then draft a wide receiver high in the draft, I can come along with that. I can get on board with that one.
So you're saying upgrade basically from
Gabe Davis isn't a one receiver.
No, but upgrade from Zay Jones with Gabe Davis?
Sure.
And then draft?
Yeah. Once again, I'm not sure if I can call that really I mean, Gabe Davis has had his big-time games, right? They call him big-time Gabe for a reason. But at the same time, he's had those games where he's been non-existent. And if you're non-existent in that Bills offense, what does it look like you come to Jacksonville?
Well, I will say this about the one thing about the Bills offense that I would think is that they have to focus sometimes on Stephon Diggs or he throws a tantrum.
And to be for sure. And to be fair, like I said earlier in the show, they actually focused a lot more on running the football towards the end of the season, and then they didn't really use the wide receivers that much, except for Stephon Diggs, who got like 20 targets a game. So I think it's comparable to Zay Jones. Could be a little bit of an upgrade, but there's no I'm going to bring Gabe Davis in here for a number one receiver spot. There's no way.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think that's a number one wide receiver play. I think what this reminds me of is if Gabe Davis were to come and you lose Ridley and you can't get the number one, you don't trade for T. Higgins, you're not going to draft him, whatever it is, all those scenarios. What this reminds me of is more of what Philadelphia had in 2018. They didn't really have a true number one, right?
They have Alshon or not? No.
They had Alshon, they had Aguilar, but they didn't perform like they weren't number one guys.
True.
Ertz was their number one weapon.
But Alshon, Alshon to me could be like Ridley. Like I think Alshon.
I forget the feeling. Obviously, in hindsight, it wasn't. But
yeah. Well, I remember when Alshon went to Philly. I'm like, oh, that's the number one receiver.
Oh, you did? Because
he was like that in Chicago, even though they had Brandon Marshall as well. But like I remember playing with Alshon, thinking like this dude's the real deal.
I felt like Alshon. I get that. I felt like a lot of people felt that way, but he never really delivered on it, even in Chicago.
I thought he had some pretty good numbers. I have to go back and check out Alshon Jeffrey.
I mean, I don't. That's my point about the Gabe Davis thing, though. It's like the Jags would just be saying, hey, we don't have a number one, but we got a great trio. Can you do this? Can you do that? So obviously, listen, I don't know if Gabe Davis is going to happen.
So the Alshon Jeffrey comparison, yeah, you were right. In Philly, he never eclipsed 1,000 yards. He had 9 touchdowns, though, in 2017 for Philly.
That would have been that year.
That was that year. Chicago, his best season, over 1,100 yards, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. Which, I mean, that's one receiver numbers in Chicago.
Yeah. You know what else is it? Speaking of Chicago, did you see this? I think Allen Robinson was released or something. Was he released last week or late last week? Or he was on my timeline, and I think he got released. Allen Robinson, what a wild. Did he just make all the wrong decisions on where to go in terms of a bad luck deal? Like quarterbacks were bad and
no, because Allen Robinson was in Los Angeles.
I know, you were like, well, so why didn't he do better in L.A.? And then he went to the Steelers, and obviously quarterbacks in the Steelers not so good. So he played in Chicago, Jacksonville, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. He played for some rough quarterbacking.
But not
in
He's also
LA.
had some injuries though too that could have hampered him.
I just wonder what happened. I really like A-Rob as a receiver, and I can't help but think of, before he tore his ACL, there was a deal on the table, and I forget how that shook out exactly. But when he, in 2017, like first play of the game or first 2 plays of the game, he tears his ACL and he's done. Well, prior to that opening game, there was a deal on the table for Robinson in some respect, at least according to the folks that we had heard. And I guess they just couldn't come to the conclusion of it. They were going to play it out. Well, obviously he gets hurt. Later that year, he goes and hits the open market, gets paid from Chicago. The Jags re-signed Marquise Lee instead. It's just interesting how that turned out. Like, at the end of the day, would he have just been better signing that initial deal, staying in Jacksonville? Would he have flourished more? Would he have prospered more being a Jacksonville Jaguar than he did bouncing around the rest of the league, including Chicago? I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, and we can all agree, too. Like, he was never the same guy after that injury. I understand that, he played with bad quarterbacks and things like that, but I feel like even with bad quarterbacks, sometimes if you're a number one receiver, you can still get open and get the ball. I mean, I look at Devontae Adams, who he played with, and Devontae Adams was still getting some of his reps and still getting some of his touchdowns. So, yeah, I think it's a combination of injuries, maybe culture in terms of places that you didn't want to be. But I feel like if you can't go to the Rams and be successful, I think Sean McVay can bring out the best in wide receivers. It could be kind of a telltale sign. Speaking of wide receivers real quick, Brent, I don't want to call it breaking news, don't want to over-exaggerate things, but
let's do it.
There's a video making its round right now, taken about a month ago, of T. Higgins. And he was asked if it was going to be traded, who are some of the quarterbacks that he would want to play for?
I would hope Trevor's
Who was the first quarterback that he mentioned?
Trevor Lawrence.
Prosecution rest, we'll see you. I'm heading home. I called this, a month ago? See you, everybody.
Did you see that video?
Yeah. I just saw it now. That's the first time I'm seeing it.
No, I mean a month ago when you started to say
Oh, no, I didn't see it a month ago. No.
Casey, if the Jags trade for T. Higgins, I mean, it's going to be awful.
I'm going to be insufferable. You thought Kyler Murray was bad that year. Hey,
that year.
One year. Hey, with all due respect, you know what I said? I said Kyler Murray for a year, then it's going to be the Jalen Hurts show. What happened? All right.
I think Higgins, listen, I love the idea of everybody's on this now. Like, everybody wants this. Higgins says, hey, I want to get traded. And everybody's like, bring him to Jacksonville.
Now people are hopping on board. Hey, welcome, everybody. I got plenty of room in this bandwagon. I've been driving it for the past couple months, but it's all good. Welcome.
Trent Baalke trying to be your hero in Jacksonville if he signs Mitch Morse and trades for T. Higgins in the same 48 hours.
Hey, Trent Baalke, I will deliver an edible arrangement myself to your front doorstep, sir, to get that job done.
Can you imagine?
What, me shouting out for Trent Baalke now, saying he's the best GM? Yeah. People change, Brent. People change, man.
Overnight.
People can
Overnight,
change.
people change.
Rocky IV.
It's amazing. It's amazing the rehab
change.
that Trent Baalke went to in the last month. So I go back to since T. Higgins is a hot topic now, I'm filling up the chat. I think our conversation went like this from my side of it. I do wonder if he's a number one. I don't know until you don't know until you know. It's different. He's been a complimentary receiver, and a very good one at that, by the way, to a very good receiver. And an offense that has a lot of weapons. But I'd like to find out. And I love that my favorite part of potentially a T. Higgins thing is he's 25. And Trevor's 24. See, that's what I don't mind about the potential of losing Ridley. But the reason why I don't mind losing Ridley is if you go draft a guy and say, hey, at number 17, or if you have to do it in round 2, fine. But I'd rather have number 17, where I'm going to go couple these guys together, and for the next handful of years, there are guys. They're the two that we build around, the Jamar Chase and the Joe Burrow. The potential of Cousins going back to Minnesota and a Justin Jefferson, even though Cousins is a lot older. Like those Or maybe now you have a Nico Collins and a Tank Dell and a CJ Stroud. Like, I like the idea of that, and I really like the idea when their ages kind of match up and they're going into the same development of their career. And see, that's really what I like the most about potentially getting Higgins is his age and upside.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, I mean, he's got the size. Is he the one receiver, like you said, Brent? We're not quite clear on that. And what it would cost to get T. Higgins, you better be damn sure he's the number one receiver. You know, because, I mean, it's going to be hard to justify investing what we think it'll cost to invest in a T. Higgins if he says, you know what, I'm actually a 2, go get a number one receiver in the draft, something like that. So, like, you got to keep in mind, you got to make sure he's the one receiver. I do. I think he's got the size. And if he comes out and says, and the first guy he says is Trevor Lawrence, I like that. Because you know what I want, Brent, more than anything? I want guys that want to be here. Right now, I'm not going to fault the player for it's like, you know what? Like Calvin Ridley, for instance. Like, we kind of disagree here. I think if Calvin got offered the same money in Kansas City as Jacksonville, I think Ridley's gone. Because I don't think Ridley, not say he doesn't want to be here, but I think in terms of what he wants out of his career, I think a Super Bowl could be up there. Money's up there as well, but I think playing with a Patrick Mahomes, like, what wide receiver wouldn't want to play with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd be absolutely foolish if you said, I don't want to play with Patrick Mahomes. But I also think that if you have a guy who actually wants to be in Jacksonville, once again, don't give him such a discount where it's like, let's trade 2 first-rounders for him or anything like that. But you take that guy into consideration because I want guys that want to be in Jacksonville. I want guys that want to play with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that part is good. And so I go back to this whole Mac Jones thing. I'll go back to the Trevor conversation. Late last week, by the way, if you jump on our show, and we were talking about, is he frustrated with this organization? Trevor. Like, those are the questions we were asking, given everything. And I think if Trevor says, hey, what would it take to get T. Higgins? Now, that's some interesting conversation inside the walls, right? I mean, that's when your ears perk up if you're the GM. Like, hey, let's investigate this. You do your due diligence. And you can't, like, do those kind of conversations take place where you're basically like, hey, we got to listen to this guy. We're going to see if we can make it happen. And then Trevor, again, this is where Trevor's a smart guy. He knows it doesn't automatically just happen. It's a business. It might be tough to do. But the fact that they even tried to do it or they look into doing it, make the phone call, says a lot when you're renegotiating his deal down the road.
The fact that we haven't heard really any smoke yet in terms of the Jaguars interested in T. Higgins leads me to believe that they haven't really consulted with Trevor Lawrence at all. Because you know how this stuff works. If there's a rumor or something, if there's some smoke going around, whether it's true or false, like, it comes from somewhere. The fact that we haven't heard anything in terms of the Jacksonville Jaguars being interested in T. Higgins leads me to believe that they haven't really asked Trevor Lawrence's opinion on it. Because why wouldn't Trevor Lawrence want T. Higgins here? Yeah. You know, I mean, it makes too much sense. Dude, they played together. Like, why wouldn't you want a former teammate that you've already built chemistry with in college to come play for you at the pro level?
Wouldn't you want him more than Ridley?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. So, to answer your question, like, I don't think they've really consulted Trevor Lawrence in terms of, hey, T. Higgins, you want him? Gabe Davis, you want him? Maybe they have, and maybe I'm wrong with that, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. Well, I don't think yet, but maybe they do. Now, I mean, Higgins just basically said, I want to trade, so maybe in the last hour or two.
we tell the story all the time. They consulted Joe Burrow in the draft. What do you want? You want Penei Sewell? Nah. Offensive line? Nah. I'll get sacked 50 times a game. Give me Jamar Chase.
Brent sounds dumb talking let Trevor be the decision maker. Brent loves Trevor so much. Sounds dumb giving him that much power when he hasn't even took the team further than Bortles. You don't get how the NFL works, do you, buddy? I don't remember Blake Bortles winning any national championships either, says Duval TV.
Well, UCF, you know.
Yeah, they did, at UCF. Hey, a couple other quarterback things. Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, what does it mean?
It means, hey, it's been fun, Pickett, but we're going to go with Russell Wilson. I mean, to me, it's just, listen, it's the most Pittsburgh move ever.
Yeah.
Because it's safe. You're not going out of your way to spend a lot of money. I call it kind of a splash free agent signing because it's Russell Wilson. I think he has a lot to give still. But to me, it's conservative for the Steelers, and that's what they're kind of all about.
The value on that deal is unbelievable. They're going to pay $1.2 million.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So
why did he come to Jacksonville then? Come on.
because he's not going to be a backup.
I gotcha. You think you think Wilson's starting for sure over Pickett, or
No
it's
doubt.
going to be competition?
Guaranteed.
No doubt.
I mean, in reality, Austin, Russell Wilson's getting paid $40 million to play football next year. He's going to be the starting quarterback. And it's a good move, I think, by the Pittsburgh Steelers to see what kind of – there's way more upside in that than I think there is right now in Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph.
Sure.
So now they, too, probably have some pretty good backup options. Casey's a big Kenny Pickett fan. But he also was a Mitchell Trubisky fan.
Also love him. As it turns out, the small hands of Kenny Pickett did not work.
That's a good point.
Unfortunately.
It did not work. Kirk Cousins looks like he's going to be a free agent. Maybe Atlanta bound. We'll see. There's so much smoke on that. But my question is, what does it mean for Justin Fields? Like, where's Justin Fields going to end up?
First of all, let me just say, it's crazy how you just said Kirk Cousins. We don't get interrupted by Hamby saying, some say Kirk Cousins? And we go on a 10-minute TED talk about how Kirk Cousins is the greatest quarterback to ever exist. Casey, your thoughts on Kirk Cousins real quick?
He's
Good.
fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Exactly. What was the question again, Brent? I'm sorry.
What's it mean for Justin Fields?
I don't think there's a lot of teams that are buying the Justin Fields hype.
I get it.
I think in terms of injury history, in terms of arm talent, I think teams are turned off. Brett, the guy's a dual threat quarterback, and hey, if Lamar Jackson showed us anything, is that dual threat quarterbacks can win at the NFL. But what it's going to cost to maybe get Justin Fields, teams are a little turned off to. Like, to me, the Falcons made too much sense.
Yeah, they make a lot of sense. Now I think, and Glenn just kind of stole my thunder here a little bit, but I think the Raiders are starting to line up. Makes it. Raiders, when we did the quarterback stuff, Raiders didn't have a fix. They were kind of left out to dry, in my opinion, and then maybe they go get a young player. That's fine. But I think Fields maybe is starting to make a little sense for them. But Minnesota, depending on what they do. Like, what's Minnesota going to do if they lose Cousins? How about Justin Fields and Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
I could see it. But again, beauty in the eye of the beholder. Right now, it's just amazing to me, man, that draft class. I'm wrong about a lot of things. I was wrong about that draft class. I thought that draft class was going to be really good. And right now, it's Trevor's the only one left standing. And some people question how good he is. I don't, but some people do.
Sure.
And he's the only one left standing. I mean, you could have legitimately, I joked around yesterday, you could bring all of those guys in and compete here in Jacksonville, and you'd have all 5 guys that got drafted.
No,
you
it's
could
wild.
actually obtain all 5 of those players.
Yeah.
Not that you would. That'd be stupid. I'm just saying that how goofy is that 3 years later?
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking 6, 7 years later. We're talking 3 years later. And on top of that, I would say the Baker Mayfield move to Tampa makes a bunch of sense, right? I kind of figured that was going to happen.
I mean, yeah, he essentially earned that contract. Like,
Yeah.
It's hard to justify leading your team to the playoffs when nobody expected you to do anything. Like, you have to pay that guy.
But is the Baker Mayfield story where Cleveland goes out, spends $230 million for Deshaun Watson because they admit that they were the ones that couldn't develop and find the best of Baker Mayfield, essentially? Does that help guys like Mac? Help guys like Justin Fields, potentially a Trey Lance or even a Zach Wilson way down the road? There's a Gardner Minshew story of what he did in Indianapolis. Help these guys like Mac Jones and Justin Fields say, wait. Don't give up on these guys just yet. I mean, there's some more good football in here. You've got to be the right organization and the right coach and the right setting and situation to tap into it.
No, I mean, I think the Baker thing does help all these quarterbacks out because it goes to show you that circumstance, setting, and a little bit of luck are needed sometimes to be a great quarterback in this league. And, with Mac Jones, have we seen enough? Do we know exactly who Mac Jones is? I have a pretty good idea, right? But once again, to echo Casey's point earlier on the show, look at who he had coaching him up. You had a bunch of defensive coordinators coaching offense. Made 0 sense. So have we seen the best of Mac Jones? You'd probably argue and say, no, we haven't. And Zach Wilson, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, did he learn anything so far? I don't know. I mean, I know he got benched when Rodgers went down, so that's not a good sign. So I think with Zach Wilson, it's a little different where it's like, man, you've had your opportunities as a starter, as a backup behind one of the greatest, and then you come back in and you still can't do the job. That's very telling to me. And with Fields, I echo more of the Mac Jones situation, where it's just like, I don't think Fields ever got a chance to really be himself. Because first was, all right, go run your butt off because that's what you do well. Oh, he got hurt. Okay, well, don't run anymore. We want you to just kind of pass and be a statue quarterback. Oh, it wasn't that good. Okay, Fields, then just go ahead and kind of do your thing. It went well for a while, and then he got hurt again. So it's really hard to, in my opinion, Mac Jones, Fields, we just don't know. Best days could be ahead of him. Zach Wilson, I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, it seems like they've fallen out of favor with just about everybody across the league. A couple more notes in. Michael Pittman Jr. and the Colts expected to finalize a deal according to Ian Rappaport. They'll keep him in Indy, no longer on the franchise tag, so they're going to sign a big deal. What does that move? Pittman, which we knew he was going to stay, and T. Higgins really is the move that announces this morning that he's unhappy, wants a trade. What does that do to Ridley and the market? Because this morning at about 8 a.m., the Ridley market was he was the best receiver on the board. But did he just get bumped down a little bit? Did he lose a little value, at least for the time being, because of now everybody's going to call on Higgins and say, hey, what's it going to take? Should we go that route instead? And, hey, none better to explore this with than Jacksonville. Jacksonville wants Ridley, but this would be a way better option. Is it worth doing this instead?
Let me ask you this. And obviously, T. Higgins is going to garner a lot more capital, a lot more investment than Calvin Ridley's going to garner. If the Jaguars re-sign Calvin Ridley, and then T. Higgins, let's just say for the sake of this exercise, goes to, I don't know, man. We'll say just he goes to the Chiefs. Let's just get really twisted and diabolical. T. Higgins goes to the Chiefs. They give up, I don't know, a second-round pick, and they get T. Higgins. Somehow they can sign Chris Jones, sign T. Higgins. I don't know how the Chiefs do it. Patrick Mahomes gave up some draft stock, or some stock in the Kansas City Royals. Who knows? Point is, the Chiefs got T. Higgins for a second-round pick and some money. And the Jaguars get Calvin Ridley. We bummed?
Yes.
Yes. And that's kind of my point here is with T. Higgins, it's the promise of the future, right? Because he's still young. With Calvin Ridley, you essentially say, okay, we got maybe 2 or 3 years to make a run with you, and then, man, we're not sure where your body's going to be.
3 might be on the long side.
Exactly. So to answer your question, yes, I think the value right now of Calvin Ridley, it goes down a little bit because now you're not the top guy anymore. Now teams are going to have their ears and their eyes opened to T. Higgins. But Ridley still comes at a discount, right? And he comes with that, all right, we can sign you to a 2-year deal, a low risk. Come in here, be our a 2-number wide receiver, like maybe Cincinnati wants him. And then it's like, all right, let's see what he's got.
Yeah, got a question in the chat of Jeff. Would you give up a second round this year and a third next year for Higgins? Yeah, absolutely. You have my damn draft picks. I don't care about it.
Jeff, yes. It's going to, yes.
If there's one thing I'm over is draft picks.
Jeff, I was trading a first-round pick for T. Higgins.
Yes.
You think I'm worried about a second round and a third round? Next year, third round? Come
your
on.
Initial deal was Ridley for Higgins, both on a franchise tag and the 17th.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, yeah.
Now, that's very costly because you're also going to go spend $25 million a year on a long-term deal or $24 million or whatever it is for Higgins.
Sure.
So there's a lot. Would it take? Could he get him for a second? We have dangled Walker Little or Cam Robinson potentially as another offensive lineman for Cincinnati Bengals. So could it be a player? Stephen Boston suggested, because there's been some smoke about Patrick Queen in the Jags over the weekend, could he be an option to go to Cincinnati? Could you dangle that? You have a bunch of linebackers in Jacksonville. So could it be a player and a draft pick? I think the Jags do have some interesting things to dangle in front of the Bengals when it comes to potential players, but also draft pick-wise, it's like, who cares, man? If you're going to go in, go in.
No, for sure. I mean, hey, if we could somehow finesse, we can give you guys a quality Luke Fortner and a slightly used Chad Muma. We'll throw a 4th-round pick just to say we did. Come on, T.
Now you're talking like the fan stuff. Now you're talking
what is this,
like
Madden?
Yes,
playing some Madden now.
Who can I screw over in this fantasy football league? That's not gonna know.
Hey, Chad Muma, you see some of that combine footage? Hey, you know what we gotta say? We didn't use him right. Okay,
yeah,
we didn't use him.
Yeah.
That was our fault. We didn't use him right. Got a lot to offer.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. Obviously, keep you updated on the latest going on around the National Football League. I did have a question about the Jags fan base mentality right now.
Get me a Pedialyte Mac. Day one. Great, please.
Welcome home, Mac Jones. Played for Corky Rogers, Nick Saban, and Belichick.
Imagine coming back home, man. Everyone's excited for you, your first job. Get Trevor Lawrence a Pedialyte. I love it.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
I've been forecasting the weather for a long time, and no matter where I go, I always get asked the same question.
Hey Mike, what's the weather gonna be like?
Hey Mike.
Hey Mike.
Mike, hey, what's the weather gonna be like? I don't mind being asked because I always have the answer. Great day for a perfect round of golf. Hey, little rain later today. So go ahead, ask me.
Hey Mike, I'm heading out. What's the weather like tonight?
It's the same question, even at home.
Mike Burrish, he's got your weather answer on Action News Jacks.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at NimnichtBuickGMC.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Alive Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community, providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax' Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of a live credit union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
PBC Sawgrass, home of the Players' Championship, and everything gets going tomorrow right on the grassy part of the other side of the water. In the near part of this photo is going to be where everybody gathers tomorrow for Military Appreciation Night. Cole Swindell putting on a concert, the ceremonies in the evening. And because we push back, we stay a little lighter. Now, of course, this week with the daylight savings or spring forward or whatever the heck you call it.
Yeah.
Hope you did that. Lost an hour. That's how I look at it. But the Players' Championship week starts tomorrow. Scotty Scheffler won at Bay Hill in Orlando. He's the defending champ, and there'll be a lot of talk about Scheffler coming up this week. But the big talker around the National Football League is everything. It's legal tampering time, and we're about 25 minutes away from when this is really supposed to start. And I'm wondering if we start getting a flood of information from the Rappaports and the Schefters and everybody else at noon. We're already getting some, like Michael Pittman Jr., 3-year deal he's agreed to with the Colts. Obviously, the Jags and Mitch Morse, the Jags and Mac Jones. There's rumors today, T. Higgins, not rumors, actually, reports that say T. Higgins wants out and has asked for a trade because there's been no conversation about an extension, even though he's on the franchise tag with Cincinnati. What else? Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Atlanta. A lot of eyes on that situation with Kirk Cousins, who's obviously coveted. Diana Rossini tweeted this today. She's like, everybody's keeping an eye on where Cousins goes, even teams not in the quarterback market. And I almost tweeted, and then I was like, all right, I got to think about this more. Why? Like, why does anybody that's not in the quarterback market care about where Kirk Cousins goes?
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense to me. I guess
I was trying to figure out, what am I missing? Like,
how much is he going to make?
Maybe
resetting the market.
Maybe competitive.
Yeah.
Like, is that how you shape your team? Like, maybe go get a pass rusher instead if you're somebody in the NFC South, if Atlanta ends up with him?
We did an exercise, I remember. Where did you say Kirk Cousins you thought was going to go?
I think I said back to Minnesota.
Back to Minnesota, okay. And I had him going to Atlanta, so time will tell.
And Atlanta seems like there's been so much smoke about Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I mean, how do you want to play this? Do you want more of the sure thing with Kirk Cousins with a younger team to kind of be that leader, to try to be that pillar? Or do you go with Justin Fields and it's like the greatest show on turf part 2 when you had Michael Vick? You know, I mean, I think both has its pros and cons. Are you going to risk it for Justin Fields, or is the more sure thing with Kirk Cousins?
I think what it says is pretty interesting to me, right? It will tell you what people think about Fields, because Kirk Cousins is very good. I think he's an underrated player, but he's an aging player, a slow player.
Major injury coming off
major injury, and a guy that really hasn't been able to get you to the promised land, which is the book on him. So they're going to be willing to do that, where you could say, Justin Fields, we can trade for, I would believe at this point, not a lot, because Chicago has got to lose a little leverage here now that everybody knows they're going to take Caleb Williams, and there's not a huge market for Fields. Plus, I would think if you do a deal with him, it's not going to be the tune of $50 million a year, so you could save a little money. So if Atlanta says, hey, we'd rather go with the old guy, the slow guy, the guy that hasn't won big, instead of this young guy that can be the future of our franchise, that can do a lot of different things and probably be around the same cost, guaranteed money-wise and other things, it will tell me a lot about, one, their mentality, to your point. Let's go win right now.
Sure.
But two, how people feel about Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, do you think you have the roster to compete for a Super Bowl right now and you're a quarterback away? I'm not sure if Atlanta feels like that, but if they do, then yeah, it's Kirk Cousins. If you want to build something, if you want to start from the ground and, hey, they're with us a couple years here, we still got to build this thing up a little bit, then you go with Justin Fields. I'm just saying, if they had Justin Fields, though, Brent, sorry, Trevor Lawrence and Jags Nation, Atlanta will be my Madden team. Because then I have Fields and I have Bijan Robinson, but I'm running the option. Good luck trying to stop it. Good luck trying to stop it. Just saying. Start calling me Navy.
I'm going to say something here that I don't know would be kind of seen as blasphemy or not here. But I'm just going to give you my first thought when I saw the Chris Jones deal this weekend. The deal is something They said like $95 million extension, so I think the total dollars are something crazy, like about $130 million or something, if I saw that correctly this morning. It's a 5-year deal, and I understand how these deals work. A lot of them are front-loaded. I think this one is kind of like more 3 years, and then the back stuff is we'll see whatever. When I saw it, I was like, that feels like a lot at this stage of his career. What do you think? Did they have to do that just because of what he's done, what he's brought them, and they didn't do it last year? Was this a little bit of a makeup?
I think it's a little bit of a makeup. It's a little bit of saying, we take care of our own. I think it's a little bit of this guy still has a lot to offer, Brent. I mean, the guy, once again, I've echoed this a couple times now. If you go back to watch that Bills game, 2 plays solely on him, he stopped touchdowns. One was just, I think, a deflection where I think Gabe Davis was actually wide open. And the second one, he affected the arm motion of Josh Allen. And once again, Josh Allen overthrew it because the arm motion getting affected. Like, the guy's a game wrecker. He is the definition of a game wrecker. I get it. He could be a little long in the tooth getting towards the back 9 of his career now, but it doesn't matter. He was a big reason why the Chiefs won a Super Bowl this year. So the fact that they can run it back with him, I think it speaks volumes. I'll be honest, my first thought was, where are they getting all the money from?
Well, they ain't paying anybody else on offense.
I guess not.
Patrick Mahomes.
I guess. Or Travis Kelce. Yeah.
But, I don't know. Yeah, they figured it out somehow. I think I saw, only $1.8 million of it or something this year is going to go, if I saw that right, against the cap because of big bonus money. Yeah, I don't know if I'm right in thinking that, because the other part of this is I say, okay, Calais Campbell at 31, 32, 33, 34, still playing really good football and impactful football. But my first thought was like, wow, that's a lot. Like, that's probably too much. I will bring up Aaron Donald, who's probably about the same. Oh, no. See, Aaron Donald's now 32, and obviously has been the best in the game. But the last 2 years for Aaron Donald, 5 sacks and 8 sacks. So not like where he's been, 12.5, 13.5, 12.5, 20.5, 11. So you do, at some point, that's my point, is that it will start to dwindle a little bit for even a guy like Chris Jones. But I can't disagree with you. He's such an impactful player. And I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I was like, if the Jags had him this year, I think they're like a deep playoff run team.
Yeah.
In the interior.
And it seems like it's a good example. Once again, I think we're on the same page here. The Chiefs are a great organization. Right now, the grades.
The grades don't indicate
the NFLPA grades. Hey, is it Robert Hunt? Or Clark Hunt? Whatever. I don't know. Whatever the guy's name is. Clark Hunt? No.
I think it's Clark.
Clark, okay. Whatever the guy's name is.
Is that Superman?
Do a little bit. Clark Kent, man. Come on now. But no, despite that, it shows that, listen, you got to take care of your own, right? You got to take care of the one that you kind of brought through here Chris Jones is drafted to the Chiefs, correct? Yeah?
Is he I think he is. Yeah.
Long story short, you take care of your own. If they're good to you, you have to be good to them. Right, and I think Chris Jones is a classic example of that. Now, you don't have to take care of him. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. You'll be all right. It'll be all right. You have some pieces on defense still besides Chris Jones, but listen, he's a big part of that team, and he got paid like such, and that goes a long way as an organization. I guarantee Mahomes, Kelce, all those guys are like, yeah, he deserves it. And now they're happy going forward.
Listen, he was a guy that held out a game because of the contract situation, and then by the end of it, he was like, I want to come back, and his agent was like, stop saying that. So, that's, you got to appreciate that. You look at Chris Jones, by the way, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time, right? People don't want to wait. And maybe this would be a conversation you'd have for a guy like Trayvon Walker. I know it's a little bit different position since Jones playing on the defensive tackle spot, but he was drafted in 2016 by the Chiefs. 2 sacks. 17, 6.5, then 15.5, then 9, 7.5, 9, 15.5, 10.5. So, I mean, he really started. It took him a few years to come into his own and be this kind of player, and he's been very consistent. When you're creating that kind of sack total from the interior, that's a hell of a player. I actually think you might be able to make the case. A stud interior player might be the hardest position to get in terms of a supply-demand thing. Donald was at the top of his game, and there weren't many like him. The other guys that are wrecking games are the T.J. Watts, the Myles Garretts, those kind of guys from the outside. And now you look at Chris Jones, and he's him. And would the Ravens just sign Matabuke?
Sure.
Because they're like, we ain't letting this guy go. There are not a lot of these guys out there.
Yeah. I mean, you had J.J.
Christian
Watt
Wilkins going to get a ton of money.
Wilkins, Watt was kind of that guy before he moved to the outside a little bit. But, like, yeah, they're super rare. To find a guy in the interior who's not only a good run stopper but also get after the quarterback, yeah, that's few and far between.
A little breaking baseball news, by the way. You're not going to like this if you're a Yankees fan. Garrett Cole getting an MRI on his shoulder, apparently, coming off that Cy Young Award year. Jeff Passan from ESPN just reporting that. So a little discomfort, it looks like, for Garrett Cole. MRI, I'm sorry, not on his shoulder, on his right elbow. Boone told reporters that Cole is coming off winning the American League Cy Young Award, has had difficulty bouncing back between spring training starts. So an MRI coming for Garrett Cole. That would be big news out of the baseball world. I couldn't help but think this is before the Mitch Morse signing. I think the Mitch Morse signing makes everybody in Jacksonville feel a little bit better. Would you agree?
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy. A center signing makes everybody like, whew, all right, here we go.
Hey, we're desperate, Brent.
Yes. But I could not help but think this way, watching Jags Twitter and being around this for the last couple of months now and what we're talking to every day. The amount of panic, hysteria, negativity, I don't know how you want to describe it. But it got me thinking to this degree this weekend. Was it worse coming off Urban Meyer or worse coming off this year in terms of the state of the fan base and where everybody's at with this organization?
Was it worse coming off of Urban Meyer or worse coming off of this year? Ooh, that's a good question, Brent. I'm going to say this much. And I don't speak for Jaguars Twitter. Jaguars Twitter speaks for itself, right? But what I've garnered was that when Urban Meyer came to Jacksonville, and I admit I was in this camp as well, I was intrigued. He was the biggest name that you could have gotten. It was exciting. It was new. You thought it was going to be the best thing ever. It was the worst thing ever. On so many accounts. A dumpster fire. But I think when it was over, we were all left thinking like, wow, that was stupid. Like, but like we weren't really that upset. I mean, we were upset, sure, but it was like we were all kind of in shock.
Yeah.
Because we were all in the same boat, thinking like, okay, Urban's going to take us to a new echelon, a new culture, everything, electric center, and it all fell apart. And I don't think anybody saw that coming. So I think people were kind of taken by surprise a little bit. This offseason, Brent, well, we know the story here, right? It's been the clown story for a long time now. It's been the clown saga on Jaguars Twitter. It's almost that people have a feeling they can see it coming before it actually happens. There's a premonition saying, we know how this is going to go, and you aren't going to stop it. And that's why I think there's more frustration with this than there is with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, Delphonic just kind of said it too. Worse now. We had hope coming off Urban, but I don't think Delphonic's sitting in the same time frame as I am. This was the biggest toxicity. The worst part of it in Jacksonville was before they actually hired Peterson. Like there was a window of time at the end of Urban had been fired. Okay, everybody happy. To that 6-week stretch where like the whole clown movement took place.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad optics.
A lot of bad stuff. I mean, again, like I get recency bias and I understand it's hard to remember, but that whole clown movement was more than just Baalke. Like that's what everybody who was a part of that said. This isn't just about Trent Baalke. It's about what the whole organization right now and the representation of it and everything else. And sure, Baalke's kind of the figurehead of this. Well, I can't help but think that here we are a couple years later. The collapse has made people super emotional about the state of the franchise. What you just said, the scar tissue continues to make people have a lack of trust and belief in the organization. And ironically, the Baalke situation still exists, which I don't think fans ever have fully got on board with, even when they made the playoffs. And there were some a little bit of small apologies and like, hey, we're good. Hey, how about this? This is awesome. But that quickly turned back this past year. The run it back, the not enough pass rush, the collapse, this offseason, the Josh Allen, now to the Ridley, and finally a little breath of fresh air for Baalke potentially with the signing of a center.
Yeah. Wow. Really went out of your way on that one.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's a reality. I mean, up until yesterday or this morning with the Mac Jones stuff, even it's like that. Like that's what it got me thinking because Mac and I tweeted this earlier, like around the nation, the national reporters are actually applauding this move. And here in Jacksonville, everybody's like, what the hell is going on? Like boom, we've had it up to here. So I don't have a great answer for you. I'm just presenting the question. And it's odd to me in some respects that I guess our expectations flipped that quick, maybe. Once you won a little bit and you have the quarterback and you have the coach, and for good reason, now you get to the level of, all right, it's time to go win a Super Bowl. It's not time to be 500 again. It's time to win a Super Bowl. It's because that's the biggest thing. Like you would say on a piece of paper, well, yeah, you were coming off miserable stuff. You were coming off all this toxicity with Urban Meyer. It definitely was way worse back then. I mean, look, you've had back-to-back winning seasons. You've actually been to a playoff game. You've got your quarterback. But no, it changes the expectation to the point of, are you kidding? The fear factor now in Jacksonville, I think, from the fan base, the angst in the fan base is, what if we go back to where we were? And are we on that path? Which is a different animal, but a different fear.
No, for sure. But also, I think the fear just comes from, once again, this is all Trent Baalke, right? Like, I don't think Peterson has anything to do with this. With Urban Meyer, you didn't know, but you had, like, I think one of our, someone chimed in and said, we had hope. I think that's what Delphonic said. And I agree with that. With Baalke, there's never really been any hope because we've seen the past already. Like, we know how this story plays out, or people think they know how the story is going to play out. So every time something bad happens, every time, whether it's a trade, whether it's a Mac Jones accusation, whatever the case may be, whoever you bring in that you don't agree with, you point to that and say, well, saw this coming. Like, we know how the story ends, right? So that, to me, is why I think it's hands down people are more frustrated with the Trent Baalke era, if you will, than the whole Urban Meyer chapter, just because people know, or they think they know how the story is going to end.
Yeah, Delphonic says, yeah, we don't want to go backwards, especially since Trevor's now eligible for a contract. We'll feel like he wasted that rookie contract window. I get that. Yeah, I think that's my point. The goalposts have moved a little bit. And the reasons why have moved, although there is that one constant still within the organization. I do think a lot of it, the angst was aimed more towards Shad, with Baalke being kind of the face of it, but Shad was the angst. I think that hasn't gone as much. Now it's Baalke, but the domino effect is now back to Shad. Why are you keeping Brent Baalke in charge of this stuff?
Yeah,
right?
This all goes hand in hand, right?
That's true. That's
Shad Khan and Trent Baalke are tied at the hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it just was a thought I had this today, and it's, guys, I got to tell you, if I don't think I need to remind everybody, but I do think when we have something that exists right now versus what existed 2 years ago, the amount of toxicity that existed in this city around this franchise 2 years ago, in that window before Doug Peterson got hired, was alarmingly high, like peak level. And there's been a lot of bad times and a lot of reasons to the fans be mad and everything else. That was different level to me of how this thing felt. Now, it came at a time where the organization also had no defense mechanism. They were without a coach. Their PR department worked for the coach. They were without anybody defending the organization. We were in a time coming out of the pandemic, so it was a different deal. So I have a hard time saying this is that, but the fact that this reminded me of that probably said enough.
Yeah.
Which is pretty. And there's also other examples, by the way, of organizations right now kind of in a similar boat. The Denver Broncos, I think, look like a dumpster fire.
Correct.
Right? The Carolina Panthers look like a dumpster fire. We'll see how this whole thing works out with the Browns, but the idea of the Deshaun Watson signing, now with Baker Mayfield getting a deal to Tampa, like they look like a dumpster fire.
Say what you want about the Browns, but guess what? They went to the playoffs last year.
I get it, yeah.
So,
and I wouldn't say they're on the level of Carolina and the Broncos.
Yeah, and the whole Deshaun Watson contract is a lot to take on, but everything that went on in that organization, they still went to the playoffs.
Yeah, and by the way, so we've seen a resurrection, if you will, of the Houston dumpster fire. They've actually rebounded.
Yeah.
And it looked like the Jags were rebounding from the dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And now this offseason feels like a match was lit again.
Well, because and once again, that comes after last season. Like, go ahead and keep your winning season all you want. Like, that does nothing for me. And I get, like, you got to find this, the silver linings and all this stuff. Like, back-to-back winning season. Who cares? Who seriously cares? about hang the banner then.
Well, I think
be
3 years ago he would have cared.
Be the Colts. Hang the banner back-to-back winning seasons. Like I literally could care less about a winning season if you're not going to the playoffs. So I just think that expectations, and I understand it because it's been so bad for so long, they're so low right now where it's like, all right, well, at least we were back-to-back winning seasons. Like, it's not supposed to be like that. You're not supposed to celebrate winning 9 games in a season. You're supposed to celebrate going on a playoff run, and maybe you get, a last-second play takes you out of the Super Bowl. Like, that's supposed to be celebrated year in and year out. And we're just, like, so low right now in terms of our expectations. Like, we do finally need to celebrate when you win it in a season. It's just like, I look forward to the day, Brent, not saying it's going to be next year, may not even be in the next 4 or 5 years. But I look forward to the day that you can say as a Jaguars fan, it's Super Bowl or bust. It's AFC Championship or bust. I want to have those conversations that the Chiefs fans, that the Bills fans are having, that the Ravens fans are having. I want to have those conversations on the radio. Not, oh, God, we got a center, we're saved. Because that's where we're at right now. How many other sports radio stations across the country right now are ready to hang a banner and throw a parade because they just signed a center? We are.
Yeah, that's because we're not on sports radio.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. That's why we're on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 app.
Yeah, that's right. You
Yeah.
got it. Action News Jacks app. Download it now. Click video.
Enough
There
said.
we are.
Enough said.
You can get us anywhere. It's pretty wild. Hey, Giants and Panthers, according to Jeremy Fowler, among teams that could come out hot on a robust guard interior market. Jets, Titans, Commanders will look to address well. Interestingly enough, the Jags, I guess, are done at that spot now.
Shocking.
Would you see anything else?
Oh, no, no, we're good. No. I was just laughing at the fact of, I say I'm still like I'm a radio host. That sounds more important than I stream. Because I'm not trying to be in like that, like the generation whatever Z area. I'm like, no, I host a radio show.
I know.
Ooh.
It is kind of an interesting language barrier now, right?
No,
like,
I
what
stream.
are we?
Ugh.
Yeah, we're the future. We move.
We move.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, best TV newscast, best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, best news website and best local blog, the Burrish blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 and a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Miss Pac-Man in all her glory. Brent Martineau, a nice fresh cup of coffee.
Yes.
Is that coffee or is that cappuccino? What are you drinking there, man? A little cloudy for my liking.
Yeah, it's just coffee.
Why is it cloudy? Like, why is it like
it's
butterscotch?
It's a little creamer in it.
Soft. Breaking news here.
Yeah, I am soft. I do not know. It's not black coffee only.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you drink any coffee?
No. I've had one cup my entire life.
Really?
Didn't work out so well.
All right.
Got way too amped up.
You got breaking news?
I can't do caffeine. Yeah, I got a little breaking news.
Caffeine?
Huh?
No caffeine?
Not really. I don't like the way it makes you feel.
Really?
I feel like I'm already hyped up enough as it is. And then when you increase caffeine, it's like you're asking for. It's like I'm a gremlin, man.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, a little breaking news here.
Just a little?
I mean, it doesn't affect the Jaguars, but it's still kind of big news. Bears are expected to make a major push to land free agent running back DeAndre Swift, per sources. He's expected to be the primary Chicago target with free agency now open.
Primary target for Chicago is going to be a running back?
I guess so.
If you're going to make a primary target be your running back, would you go DeAndre Swift?
I mean, Saquon Barkley, right? You'd think? Yeah. Does this mean that we're going to get Derrick Henry to the Eagles now?
I could see that.
Or the Ravens?
Still feel like the Ravens make the most sense, don't they?
Yeah, we'll see.
Just fits them.
Yeah.
Fits everything about them.
Yep.
How about the Steelers for Derrick Henry?
I mean, they still got Najee, though, and they got...
but he's underperformed.
I know.
Physical,
trade one Alabama
tough.
running back for another Alabama running back? Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to trade, really. I mean, it's a free agent. So.
That's a good point. Just bring him in.
Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Brent and Austin Show. Casey Kurtz joined us. In fact, these guys are going to have the final hour or most of it in just a bit, as I'll be getting out of here a little early today. But I just want to headline some of the news of the day. And really, the Mitch Morse signs with the Jags, or will sign with the Jags, so the Jags get help at the center spot. Obviously, Mac Jones yesterday. I think most people who are listening know that situation. I think the biggest thing in terms of the Jags is obviously Calvin Ridley, what's going to happen. I think most people now feel like the Jags will lose Calvin Ridley to free agency. They'll get outbid somewhere. There certainly seems to be interest by the Jags, but they still seem like they're going to get outbid. We can go back to a few weeks ago. If they pull this off where they get Calvin Ridley back, keep their second-round pick, I'll be just absolutely floored. And by the way, I think you would have to give kudos to Trent Baalke if he's able to do that. I think that's very unlikely. So on the heels of that, the biggest story is T. Higgins coming out this morning saying, hey, I want to be traded. I don't like what's going on here in Cincinnati. They're not even talking to me about an extension. They're just using the power of the tag. So I'm going to use my power to say I'm unhappy. And that has had a lot of people chatting and talking, because I don't know if it's a realistic play for the Jags, but it's got to be an intriguing play for the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a hypocrite, man. I've literally pounded on the table now for Calvin Ridley for the past couple weeks, right? Like, it's got to be Calvin. It's got to be Calvin. It's got to be Calvin. And now the only Calvin I'm concerned about is Calvin Klein, because Calvin Ridley, never heard of him. Never heard of him when T. Higgins on the table. Calvin Ridley? How old is he? Nah. Calvin, hey, we appreciate you, man, but we got to go a younger direction now. And that's where I'm at. Brent, I'm literally at the point now where if they somehow finesse and get Calvin Ridley back, and that would be great, right? You still get your second-round pick. Use that for whatever you want to use it on. Get Calvin Ridley back here. I'm sure Trevor Lawrence is happy. I don't care, because now I see T. Higgins is available. And that's where I'm at.
But, okay, so what's the I get it. I get the interest. I get the, hey, let's do this. Let's Madden this thing up and make the trade. Let's fantasy football this thing up.
Let's do it.
How realistic could it be? There's going to be a lot of teams calling. Heck, Houston Texans might call. The Chiefs might call. Some intriguing spots could crawl. He has said, the reason I bring those up, he has said Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, who he'd like to play for.
Now say Trevor first, because he mentioned Trevor first by name.
He did.
And then Mahomes, and then Stroud, or whatever it was.
Because I think he currently had mentioned Joe Burrow. Like he said, playing for Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And how much do they care what he thinks?
Well, so this is what I was going to get at a little bit, though. Like, I don't know all the dynamics of that relationship there in Cincinnati with T. Higgins and the organization. He wants to get paid like a 1. And you know what? Whether he is or not, rightfully so, I think he deserves to be paid like a 1, because he has put up some decent numbers when he's been in there. Now, I think Cincinnati's goal is to pay Jamar Chase. So you're not going to pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right? You can't give 2 1s one kind of money and run a competent organization. So somebody's got to go, and that's T. Higgins. My question is do they try to do right by T. Higgins and say, where would you like to go? Because sometimes organizations a la the Jacksonville Jaguars and Calais Campbell, now it's a different situation, right? Calais is kind of on the back nine of his career and everything. T. Higgins still has a lot to offer. But sometimes teams will say, where do you want to go? What can we do to get the best what's for us, but also do right by you? And if that's the case, and if T. Higgins goes, you know what? I want to play with an old teammate. I want to go to Jacksonville. I want Trevor Lawrence throwing me dimes. Well, then maybe they can work out some kind of deal with the Jaguars.
Yeah, the only thing that's interesting for a T. Higgins trade in the AFC is the Jags and the Chiefs are true contenders. Like, why would you trade? Well, I wouldn't. Chiefs are definitely a contender. The Bengals could look at the Jags as beefing them up to become a contender. Now, they're not in the division, so that helps for both. They're not going to trade them to Cleveland, I don't think, or the Ravens. And we don't see that as being as big a problem as, like, Major League Baseball sometimes will do that. They're like, I'm not trading them to a division or even in the American League or National League. We're getting them away.
Sure.
But I do think that factors in. Like, why would anybody want to trade anything to Kansas City to make them better than they already are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, true. But once again, like, is it?
Are you taking care of the player?
It's inconsequential. Yeah.
And what are you getting in return at the end of the day, right?
Of course, it has to be right. If you have to face this team in the AFC Championship, you better have gotten something great for it.
I do think I think the Jags are in a position where they have some players that just been thrown out today. Like we said, Walker Little, Cam Robinson. Could you dangle a player and picks? Somebody had brought up Foye Lewickin. Like, are they interested in a linebacker that maybe you have depth there and it's worth, okay, we're going to see what our depth looks like. I know you joked around like a Muma and others, but the Jags might have pieces to play with to say, here's the defense of the organization. No matter what they do, if they go get T. Higgins, they can say we're doing this for Trevor. And there's never a wrong answer if that's your reason. It's just not wrong. Now, it might end up wrong, but it's not wrong at the forefront to say we're going to help out our guy.
No, and if I'm fighting, I feel like this organization, Doug, Trent, we're on a first-name basis now because, I'm being serious here. I think this is a make-or-break season for them. Right, for a lot of reasons. But I think one of those reasons being the development of Trevor Lawrence. So if that's the case, and I need to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence, then I'm going to give him the best possible free agent wide receiver that I can give him, and that's T. Higgins.
So this just in from Jeremy Fowler. Now that Calvin Ridley is set to be a free agent, the Jaguars and Patriots are expected to make pushes for him. The Titans and Panthers also could be in the wide receiver market.
Calvin, the Patriots? Who wants to go to the Patriots right now?
Did they sign Kendrick Bourne? Did I see that last night? I didn't make that up, right? Yeah, they signed Kendrick Bourne to like a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you're done. I'm just saying that's what they did. And they're setting the table to help Jaden Daniels out, is my guess. Right?
Sure,
They trade away Mack. They're not going to go with Bailey Zappi. They're going to get Daniels at number 3 is my assumption. And they're going to set their guy up for success. So Calvin Ridley could be in play there. But I'm just going to tell you this right now, guys. Like, if you're Calvin Ridley, and money's going to win the day, and I understand that, but you're looking at the Patriots, the Titans, or the Panthers? The Jags are
see it back here.
The Jags are a way better option than that. The fact that those 4 teams are listed, and Jeremy Fowler doesn't know every team that's listed. He's just thrown some teams out there that he's heard. But is there a chance that the market's not as robust? Sure, the market's good. He's going to be a high guy on the market, but maybe there's not 18 teams interested or 12 teams interested in Calvin Ridley.
I mean, once again, this is kind of like the first round of teams that are interested. I think there's got to be more. I do feel like if you're in competition with the Patriots, the Titans, and the Panthers, advantage Jaguars there. Hands down.
Yeah, but you only have the advantage if the money's about even or equal or whatever. Remember that part, right? The advantage is the money.
Do you see, I guess the Patriots are different now because Bill Belichick's gone, but do you see these teams spending $22 million in Calvin Ridley?
I saw somebody say they think the starting point is $20 million. I don't agree with that. Again, remember, Mike Evans signed for $20.5 million a year. Now, he got incentives. You can get creative on how you do the deal, how much money you get up front, all that stuff. But $20.5 is kind of the number right now working off with Mike Evans, the free agent of this past couple of weeks that signed. And I just don't see Ridley eclipsing him on an annual per year salary.
Listen, if I saw teams like the Ravens, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Bills, whatever the case may be, then I'm worried, right? Because now it's like, okay, you got some pretty good quarterbacks there you can play with, can make a run there. I'm worried about that. The Titans don't scare me, even though they scare me when we play them. But the Titans don't scare me in terms of landing Calvin Ridley. Panthers don't scare me, and the Patriots don't scare me.
I think those are just the desperate teams, though. That's why they came out first.
That's why they're out there, yeah.
They're down.
There's going to be more teams.
They're the early calls. Yeah. I agree with that. What you guys are saying is right on that front. But I do wonder if it's 2 things. We have assumed that the market's going to be crazy for Calvin. I said this again yesterday to somebody. Have we overplayed the value of Calvin Ridley here in Jacksonville because it's been such a talker? And I think the answer to that is potentially yes.
Potentially yes, but there's no other. Once again, now T. Higgins, and we'll see how that all pans out. But there's not a lot of other options, Brent.
But I don't mean necessarily, Austin, that he doesn't have value. I say we overplayed the actual value, like how much it is. Is it 19, 20 million? Is it really 16, 17 million? Is it 5, 6 teams interested, not 12, 13 teams interested? This is not even T. Higgins. T. Higgins is going to command way more interest, is what we've been talking about all day, than a guy like Ridley. Yeah. Now that there's potential that you could even make a phone call about him.
No, for sure. To me, essentially, this is like the draft. you draft with the risk of getting the best out of that player. You're paying Calvin Ridley at the risk of getting the guy that he was. Because, like, if you pay and you get what you got last season, you're probably not getting your money back, right? That's probably going to be a bad investment. But what you're paying Calvin Ridley on is what he showed you in Atlanta when he was able to, get 90 receptions, over 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. You're paying for that capability. Now, does he still have it in him? I think there's a chance. Even Trevor Lawrence said it. Taking a 2-year hiatus out of any position in the NFL, especially a wide receiver position where it's all based off of timing, route running, routine. Oh, and by the way, you got a new quarterback, a new system to learn. You're paying Calvin Ridley based on what you've seen in the past. And what you've seen is good. So either you risk it in terms of you pay him for what you think he could be from his past, or you risk it in the draft and say, I'm taking the first-round pick or a second-round pick in terms of what I think this guy could be going forward. Either way, it's a risk. But I'm basing a risk off Calvin Ridley of what I've seen before. I'm basing the risk off of the draft of what I think he could be.
We're going to take a break in a moment, but before we do that, a couple of reports now from Diana Rossini that have linked the Texans to Saquon Barkley and Christian Wilkins. And that's another part of this story here this week. They have money to spend. They have upside. This is where they're in a different spot than the Jags were last year. Jags surprised in 2022, but they're also kind of pot committed on a lot of contracts, a lot of younger players that they had already drafted, et cetera, et cetera. Houston's a little different. The reason why they got to where they got this year is a lot because they hit on the draft, and they kind of just filled in some holes with other stuff. Well, here they are now sitting with those draft wins. They can get rid of some of the older guys. They have plenty of money to play with. So now they do that part first. See, the Jags actually did their free agency going into 2022 after they got their good draft class of 2021, at least the way they thought it.
Yeah.
Now here the Houston Texans are in the opposite way, and they could scare the hell out of some teams in the AFC, especially the AFC South, if they were to go get Christian Wilkins and Saquon Barkley this week.
Let's go to the Houston beat writer, Casey Kurtz. Casey, real quick, how do you feel about T. Higgins going to the Texans?
It'd be dangerous.
That's my biggest fear right now. I mean, yeah, Christian Wilkins. I mean, Saquon for sure, right? The guy's so dynamic with Stroud. What would that look like? Wilkins, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Like, he's going to bolster up that defensive line as well. That scares you. But, like, man, if they get a guy like T. Higgins.
Look what Nico Collins did.
They don't need
Bro's like the off-brand T. Higgins.
Yeah, they don't need T. Higgins, but, hey, you can get T. Higgins.
So the Bears did get Swift, according to the chat.
Yes,
so
they did.
Here we go. One last thought on that.
By the way, it's a 3-year deal for $24 million for DeAndre Swift.
And I heard it was a 3-year, $70 million deal for Michael Pittman Jr., by the way, if you're looking at contracts,
nice
receiver-wise, which also could shape potentially a T. Higgins, whoever he does end up with, what his deal looks like, which will be more than Pittman. But I would think it would be more than Pittman. Really, if you're the GM of the Texans, who helps you more right now, T. Higgins or Saquon Barkley?
Well, obviously, I think Saquon. I mean,
the
running game was solid, and it wasn't because of Damian Pierce.
Singletary did a good job.
Singletary, yeah. I mean, man, you mean to tell me you got Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and then T. Higgins?
They brought back Schultz, too. It had a nice year for him.
Dalton Schultz. I mean, I don't care if you're C.J. Stroud or if you're just anybody. Like, you're going to have – That's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, I think like the name Saquon with those other guys scares you more than like T. Higgins, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Higgins, that trio, I mean, who's matching up with it?
Nobody.
If you're able to get that. So, like, I understand it. I would think it makes more sense from a build standpoint to go get Saquon Barkley. And with Stroud, I mean, they're building up a heck of an offense if that's the case. And I do think the reality here is, yeah, we're keeping an eye on Jacksonville, but Jacksonville cannot be conservative. You've got to be aggressive. You have your quarterback on his rookie deal. Like, the chat's not wrong there. T. Higgins, if you can get in play for that, be aggressive. That's what we're asking. I think that's what fans always ask. This organization hasn't always been that way. They've been aggressive in spending and free agency many a times before. But that's why we liked when they traded up to get even a Devin Lloyd. Now, maybe it didn't work as well as everybody hoped, but at least they were aggressive in doing so. We like when the organization's aggressive because it feels like they're going after it. What the hell, man? It's a big year in Jacksonville. Go after it. Austen Lane, Casey Kurtz will take you home. Split with the Texans. I'll sign up for that next year right now.
That. And now let's go to fade the black right here. Fade the black right here. No. The Bengals and oh.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we are a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, best TV newscast, best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, best news website and best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 and a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, or as we'll be calling it now for the next hour. It's going to be the Austin and Casey Show. Casey Kurtz back, gracing us with his presence, pushing all the right buttons, just like it's the old days, just in a brand new studio with all the high-tech streaming capabilities to be successful. And listen, a lot is transpiring now around the NFL. We started out this morning talking about, hey, we're excited. You got Mitch Morse. We have a center. Jaguars fans rejoice. The Jaguars are back. The only team fan base right now that's cheering about a center signing is the Jacksonville Jaguars. But you know what? It makes Trevor better, so we aren't going to complain about it. But then all of a sudden some rumbling started happening, right? And now all of a sudden we're on the T. Higgins train, if you will. T. Higgins saying that he wants out of Cincinnati, wants to be paid like a number one wide receiver. They're probably going to pay Jamar Chase. T. Higgins gets that number two money, wants out. And all of a sudden I'm going, Calvin Ridley who? And listen, I'm not saying that Calvin Ridley's a bad player by any means, right? I would like to have him back here in Jacksonville. We played the audio yesterday of Trevor Lawrence talking about, yesterday, played the audio on Friday about Trevor Lawrence wanting Calvin Ridley back. It took some time to knock out that rust. He wants to see what he can do with a full season behind him now and some chemistry working together. Nevertheless, T. Higgins is T. Higgins. And this is almost like, well, do you want the ex-girlfriend back? Or, guess what? Rihanna's single, and she's looking. And she's at the bar looking at you. What are you going to do? Going to give up maybe a second-round pick? Going to give up maybe a Cam Robinson, if you will? Or do you wait until the draft where a guy possibly like Brian Thomas Jr. can fall to you, 6'3", 4'3", blazing speed? You like to see that as well. Casey, my question to you is, if you're Trent Baalke right now,
yep.
if you're the Jags GM, and by the way, looking great on the Casey cam, by the way, good to have you back, my man.
Thanks, Doc.
What are you doing here?
I mean, it's T. Higgins every day, twice on Sunday. Right? It's got to be. Like, listen, you can draft a guy, that's fine. They've had such great success with drafting players, so I'm not sure I want to fall back in that option. You know T. Higgins is good, though, right?
Correct.
Like, you know he's good. You know he gives you what you don't have. Big dude, go up, make a play. Him with Christian Kirk, with Evan Ingram, with Travis Etienne, maybe you finally start throwing him the football. Dangerous, Austin.
It's so dangerous, and that's the point right there. And once again, nothing against Calvin Ridley, right? Like, I think if the Jaguars bring back Calvin Ridley, they somehow get a job done because guess what? You don't want to go to Carolina. You don't want to go to New England.
No.
I mean, I get it. New England could be exciting, some new faces and stuff. Nah, man. Nah, come on. We're trying to win a Super Bowl here.
Nah.
And you're not trying to go, what was the other team? It was the Panthers.
Titans.
Come on. Tennessee, new coaching staff. You're going to have Will Levis throw to you? Come on. Nah, we're all good. Come back to Jacksonville, Calvin. We love you here. I get that. But when a player has made it known, once again, this is a couple months ago, but when a player has made it known that he wants to play with Trevor Lawrence, one would assume that Trevor Lawrence wants to play with T. Higgins. Why wouldn't you? And again, a position that's going to elevate Trevor Lawrence. This is what the offseason should be about, Casey. And I can't preach this enough. Is Trevor Lawrence the guy or not? Me and Brent kind of disagree a little bit on that and saying, like, I think he still has a lot to prove. I don't think he's shown us who he can be quite yet. Yes, a lot of the things haven't been his fault in terms of Urban Meyer, in terms of some of the drop balls, the deflections, things like that. But some of the plays have been Trevor Lawrence's fault.
Sure.
And some of the plays that he's made have not been that of an elite quarterback, have not been that of a generational quarterback. So if I'm Doug Peterson, if I'm Trent Baalke, and I think that, you know what, my job might be on the line this season, if I'm Doug Peterson, I was brought here to develop Trevor Lawrence. How is that going? If that's the case, I'm giving everything in my power to let him be successful. Okay, you got a center. Fantastic. That's going to help Trevor Lawrence out.
How about that?
Now, what about the weapons, right? And I agree with you here, Casey. I think T. Higgins gives you the surest thing right now. Not to say Brian Thomas Jr. I'm trying to think of somebody else that can maybe. I think it's Brian Thomas Jr. I think the top 3 guys, obviously you're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., not going to get him.
Nope.
The other cat from LSU, not going to get him. And then Udunze from Washington, not going to get him as well.
0 for 3.
So you're 0 for 3 there. Unless you want to trade up everything. And hey, by the way,
They're not trading up.
not really the MO of the Jaguars to trade up to get a wide receiver.
They are not trading.
Anytime I can see that. So yeah, it's Brian Thomas Jr. or it's going to be T. Higgins. And I think I go advantage T. Higgins just because once again I know what I'm getting there. And despite what people want to say, the injury history, is he a true one receiver? He's the one receiver on this team.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Okay, Christian Kirk's respectable, and I get that, man. He's a great wide receiver in his own right. But he's going to be playing from the slot. Maybe it's Zay Jones. Maybe it's a different 2 going forward. Nevertheless, T. Higgins will be the number 1 receiver here. And that's the fact of life. So keep an eye on that. I'm very curious to see what the rumors are going to start to say. My eyes are peeled to that as well. It's wild how, Casey, I was all about the Calvin Ridley train and everything, and like a hobo in the night, I just hopped off, didn't think twice about it,
right?
And I new train.
You do what you got to do, but at the end of the day, if you're going to get better, you got to get better. And you've said it a couple of times since I've been here and even when I'm not here. But if you can get better, you got to. But I think the point is a good one with Trent Baalke. Like, if your job may be on the line, who cares about the picks you might never make?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the Jags are going to make those picks if you trade them, whatever. But if you're not here because you got to win, then you go and you use those picks and you go get a sure thing, which is T. Higgins. Trent Baalke, you could look at it that way. The Doug Peterson not being here, you were talking about it a little bit earlier. We talked about it a lot in that other spot, me and Brent. I can't imagine a scenario unless it goes like a 1-win season that they don't have Doug Peterson here next year. Because if the Jags are firing coaches for winning 9 games, what kind of world are we living in?
Let me ask you this, though. Let's say, and I don't want to put bad juju out there on this Jaguars team.
Sure.
But let's say we get a performance, let's call it the same or a little worse than last year, okay? So let's go ahead and call it this. They win 8 games next year. Don't make the playoffs, obviously. Trevor Lawrence, you can say, plateaus or even regresses a little more.
Oh, boy. I think they got Mac.
Don't even start with that.
All right. Okay.
What is it looking like for the coaching staff, and what's it looking like for Trent Baalke?
Trent Baalke's gone, but I don't. Where are you going from Doug Peterson? Like you feel like Doug Peterson's a good football coach, do you not?
Absolutely, but also I feel like Doug Peterson was brought here to elevate Trevor Lawrence and make him the best Trevor Lawrence as possible.
What if he has?
But I'm saying if you win 8 games next year and there's some regression, then you haven't.
But what if that's the best Trevor Lawrence? What if you've gotten it?
Well, you know what? And if you truly gotten the best Trevor Lawrence, and maybe we were all wrong.
You've got a whole nother problem.
Well, yeah, and maybe we were all wrong, right? Maybe Brent should have been in the middle of Buffalo Wild Wings on someone's shoulders celebrating, saying Jets, Jets, Jets. Oh, yeah. What a stupid name, by the way. We know how to spell.
It's only 4 letters. You know what I'm saying?
Do better, New York.
Do better.
You know, people want to make fun of the whole Duval thing. At least it's unique. We're not spelling out our team name, J-E-J, G, I can't spell, obviously, but Jags. Come on. At least we're unique. So get off the whole Jets thing. But my point is this. If Trevor Lawrence, for whatever reason, once again, knocking on wood, regresses or plateaus and it's like he's really not that guy, well, then guess what, Casey? You still got to tear the whole thing down again. You know, and by tearing the whole thing down, I mean, Doug, it's been real. Trent, whatever. But
whatever.
I think you got to start over. And because the last thing I want to see once again is maintaining a head coach and then having the head coach bring in the GM that they want. Because guess what? History has showed that doesn't work out well here. Now, maybe in some organizations, it works great. But if you don't bring in the head coach and the GM at the same time, it just hasn't gone good here.
Yeah. I just have a hard time thinking that they find somewhere to go from a Doug Peterson if you get to that point. Ideally, you don't get to that point, but you've got a guy, and I hate to sound like Brent here. He won it. I get it. I'm not going to stay too much on that point.
Yeah.
But where you're not getting somebody who has a better resume, so if you do have to move off of him, you're getting somebody with a guaranteed worse resume and may have never been a head coach in the NFL.
And it makes me nervous. And listen, I didn't like talking about this because I think it's going to be better next year, but I'm just saying the worst case scenario.
They got to send
But listen, you can't throw that Super Bowl in my face for the rest of Doug Peterson's tenure because, well, Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl as well. And how's he getting treated in Dallas right now?
Kept his job at least.
Kept his job for another year. Now, if you're Mike McCarthy, you better win. Okay, I don't care if you have an explosive offense with CD Lamb going for ungodly numbers. You better win.
You know what? I'm seeing some comparisons here. Mike McCarthy, Super Bowl winner, traded for Trey Lance. Now you've got Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winner, trading for Mac Jones. Something in the water here.
Okay. And listen, this is going to be my next point, and I don't want to go down this road because it's only going to make me upset.
Oh, boy.
But you're here, so for the sake of old times.
Okay. Let's get upset.
What do you make of the Mac Jones signing? And let me further explain myself here.
Please do.
If we're week 13, week 14, and once again, just for the sake of the exercise, don't want to speak bad juju out there, but just for the sake of the exercise, if the Jaguars are not a playoff contender, maybe Trevor Lawrence is a little banged up, maybe he's plateaued, maybe we're not getting the best Trevor Lawrence possible. Can you fathom a world then where people will be calling for Mac Jones, but also can you fathom a world where they actually bring in Mac Jones to see what he can do?
You're talking about other teams?
No. I'm saying the Jaguars. I'm saying Doug Peterson. Do they go to Mac Jones and say, hey, you know what? Let's see what you got then, young kid.
I would.
Come on.
I guess. Like, here's the thing. I don't know why I feel some type of way about Mac Jones, but I think there's talent there. I think you don't fully know what he is as an NFL quarterback judging off in New England. I understand when he was in last year. It was terrible, but they also had, who are their receivers? You got any names? I ain't got none.
Smith-Schuster, but, I think he's more on TikTok than anything.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I still think there's things you can discover about Mac Jones, but I stand by the statement of if the Jags are discovering those things about Mac Jones, something has gone terribly and horribly wrong in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with that. And let's keep it 100 here, Casey. I think after year one of the quarterback experiment with that draft class, one could argue and say Mac Jones might have been the best one out of that class.
He had the best results.
He's
not the most talented, but he had the best results.
And I remember watching preseason games. This guy's checking down already, like he's Peyton Manning. There was a lot to like about Mac Jones early on in his career. Now, once again, did some bad coaches get their hands on him, mess up the mechanics, mess up his confidence? You can make an argument and say, absolutely. I just worry, though, and I get it. I'm not trying to make excuses for Trevor Lawrence here. I'm not trying to call Trevor Lawrence soft, anything like that. But if we have heaven forbid, a 3-interception Trevor Lawrence game, and you're down by 20-something going in the third quarter.
So the Bucs game last year.
Thank you. So the Bucs game last year, people start to boo. We're at home, and all of a sudden, a local boy in Mac Jones, are we starting to give him the Mac Jones chance? Because that doesn't help it ain't going to help Trevor. And once again, it probably won't even bother Trevor, but it's going to bother me. I think it'll bother the locker room a little bit, and that's the last thing I want. Nobody was chanting for CJ Beathard to go in at any time during this season.
Not one person.
One could make an argument that through some games this season, the way that it looked, the Buccaneers game being one of them,
that was ugly.
There could have been a Mac Jones chant. I don't want any Mac Jones chants in my stadium. I don't want any Mac Jones chants anywhere. I'm with Trevor.
But this is the NFL, this is football, and these are frustrated fans. If you get to week 14, 15, and it doesn't look right, you're getting a chance.
Okay.
I'm not saying how many.
Yeah.
Somebody in that stadium is going to go, you know what? Get back in there.
Yeah. We got Robert chiming in saying Mac Jones is going to be fine. Relax. Just an insurance policy. Listen, Robert, and I'm with you here. I'm not in the backup quarterback ranking business. I really don't care because I really feel like unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs or an elite team, if your starting quarterback goes down, it's probably game over, right? I think Chase Daniels, was he with the Lions last year? If I'm not mistaken. I don't know. He was with the Lions a couple years ago.
He was. He definitely was a Lion.
Okay. If Jared Goff went down in the playoffs and Chase Daniel came in, I'm not confident Chase Daniel can get the job done. And Chase Daniel is one of the most highly regarded backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's my point. A backup quarterback's job is to come in, maybe you manage a game, maybe you win 2 or 3 here. But very rarely, and I get 2017 is the outlier, and we have part of that outlier in Doug Peterson on our current football team, and I get that. But that is such an outlier. That is such an uncommon thing that I don't know if it's ever going to happen again in the NFL in terms of a Nick Foles situation, comes in out of nowhere and leads your team to a Super Bowl.
Sure.
Nevertheless, if Trevor Lawrence goes down, so much wood being knocked on, I don't care who it is back there. I don't care if it's C.J. Beathard. I don't care if it's Mac Jones. I don't care if it's Zach Wilson. To me, it doesn't matter because you don't have the team right now, at least on paper, to say, you know what, we can elevate this backup quarterback and help him out and win some games with him.
Yes, but what if T. Higgins was on the team? You feel better?
No, I feel a little better. Yeah.
Like how many, and I get when you bring up the names Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, my point I'm about to say is not going to carry much weight, but how many teams have a first-round quarterback who's done some things in the NFL as their backup, right? Not everybody gets that luxury.
No, that's rare.
Justin Fields gets hurt. Tyson Bagent. Who? Sure.
Never heard of him.
Whatever. No big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could do worse at the backup quarterback position. And when it happened yesterday, when Brent randomly texted me in the middle of the day, we were having a conversation like, Mac Jones and Jags. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think they got better. Because I think he's a better option than C.J. Beathard if you had to win a game. Maybe I'm wrong.
We got some good points here in the chat. Cleveland made the playoffs after 5 different quarterbacks. That's true.
That's fair.
Joe Flacco came off the couch and did his thing. But to me, like, once again, I don't think Joe Flacco was ever really a backup quarterback. Like, he was in that situation, but Joe Flacco's been a starter. He's been a Super Bowl champion, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah.
Week 17, Trevor was still hurt against Tennessee. A good quarterback would have walked us into the playoffs while keeping Trevor Lawrence on ice an extra week. 2 good quarterbacks is good to have. I'm sorry, I'm not ready to call Mac Jones a good quarterback yet. He still has to earn that to me. Once again, excuses nonetheless. Like, listen, if I'm going to sit here and say I don't think Mac Jones is elite and I don't think Trevor Lawrence is elite yet, well, you can say, well, Austin, what about Urban Meyer? Sure, that's fine. You can sit here and tell me, Austin, what about the offense last year, the Patriots? It was a mess. That's fine as well. Those things can both be true. But at the same time, I go off with what my eyes tell me and what the numbers tell me. And the numbers tell me right now that Trevor Lawrence has shown some good, but he's not elite quite yet. And you know what? Mac Jones showed some good as his rookie year, but he's not quite there yet. So to me, it's a lot of the same. You want to call him good, you want to call him decent, whatever the case may be. I'm not confident that Mac Jones can go out there and win this organization games. And if that's the case, then we're talking about a guy who's brought in for what? Because Trevor can't really bounce questions off him. He doesn't have a lot of experience as Mac Jones. So it is what it is from that standpoint. Brock Purdy was a backup quarterback to Jimmy G, remember? Yeah, but once again, I think Trey Lance was brought in to surpass Jimmy G.
Right.
Brock Purdy was an afterthought, Mr. Irrelevant, if you will. Brock Purdy gets thrust into a situation. He does well, becomes a starter. Like, listen, great points being made. I'm just saying from my perspective, I would have brought in a different type of backup quarterback, a guy with more experience, a guy who's been there before a couple more years, just so then Trevor Lawrence could bounce ideas off of him because that's what you want out of a backup quarterback. One of the best quotes I saw, I think it might have been from Chase Daniel. I forgot who it was from. But they said, what makes a backup quarterback a great backup quarterback? The number one answer overall is that the backup quarterback knows that he's a backup quarterback. You think Mac Jones does that right now, Casey?
6th-round pick, though. Ego at least had to take a hit when he saw the trade.
That is, Kevin. That is an ego hit, man. Imagine any other job. You go from making first-round money to all of a sudden you got traded for a 6th-round pick. That is a shot to the ego. That's a shot to the ego. I didn't even think about that, Casey. That's rough.
So maybe he's got an idea.
Maybe he's got an idea. Listen, when we come back, I saw Casey over the weekend in the most random spot of all time. And Casey, I'm not sure if you saw what I saw at this place, but I almost called the cops. We'll talk about that next.
Alive, Credit cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community, providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Navigating to that perfect car can be a daunting task. Trust me, I understand, but if you want to find the perfect blend of sales and service for your automotive needs, look no further than the Tom Bush family of dealerships.
Here at Tom Bush, they do things right. Dating back to 1970, they've been a staple in the community, giving back and keeping everything local. With 4 different brands to choose from, BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, and many, there's a car for every member of the family, and the customer service is second to none. Looking to add an electric vehicle to your fleet? Tom Bush remains at the forefront of new technology with plenty of staff on hand to walk you through the future of driving and help eligible customers file for that EV tax credit.
Whether you're looking for your future driver's first car or you want to step up to luxury and arrive in style, the Tom Bush family of dealership is the only stop that you need to make.
Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory at tombush.com.
Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville: FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years, and they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Get outside.
Yeah.
Make friends. Learn life lessons with the First Tee.
Golf is kind of like life in a way.
You can take some stuff you learn on the course and take that and use it in every single day life.
Donate to First Tee's Playday campaign and everybody wins.
For every $10 you've donated, you're entered to win a free round with a buddy.
At the stadium course, home of the players, with this guy, Len Matisse. Scan the code on your screen or visit actionnewsjax.com to learn more.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There's the home and the way games for the Jaguars. Take them how you want. Could be a murderer's row. Packers, Vikings, Jets, Lions, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins. Woo!
Yikes.
Browns, too. Got the Browns in there. Yeah, a little bit of yikes. Time will tell. But until the meantime, we have some more breaking news here, Casey. Free agency is getting off to quite the start. Tennessee Titans waving all but goodbye to Derrick Henry. It appears as Tony Pollard expected to sign now with the Tennessee Titans. Casey, you scared about that?
No.
No. Kind of, I mean, once again, I
Weird
get.
though, huh? Or no?
Well, new coach, new identity. A little weird because I feel like Pollard's not necessarily that guy's going to be running between the tackles the entire game. I mean, I think he's kind of a dual threat. You know, he's a great receiver in his own right. I assume you pair him with somebody else as well. But to make him the bell cow in Tennessee, I like that a lot better than Derrick Henry, I'll be honest with you.
From the Jags perspective, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, exactly. From Titans fans, I mean, yeah, probably not so much.
Yeah, it's weird to me. Like, he was fine. They tried to give him that role in Dallas, and he was fine. Jonathan
Grenard, don't have to see him anymore for the Houston Texans. Got to like that. Going now to the Minnesota Vikings.
It's a good deal.
On a big-time deal, yeah. So he's set to
a good
get
player.
4 years, $76 million, $42 million guaranteed. Josh Allen licking his fingers, rubbing his palms, and saying, show me the money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. He's going to like that a lot. I mean, once again, and me and Brent have kind of beat this thing to death. It doesn't matter to me with Josh Allen in terms of the market because he, like, regardless of how many times it gets reset, Josh Allen will be making top 5 edge rusher money.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, nothing against, Jonathan Grenard because you saw him a lot as a Jaguars fan. But, like, there's the Jonathan Grenard level, and then above that is the Josh Allen level.
I'd agree with that.
Jalen Johnson had a press conference.
He did.
Newly signed. Another new deal for the Chicago Bears. Couldn't get it done before the franchise tag hit. Didn't matter. Got it done a couple days later. Do we have audio of the Jalen Johnson press conference?
We're absolutely going to try our best.
All right. Well, this is, and I've heard a lot, and I've seen a lot. This is definitely a first for me in terms of how to start a press conference. Let's see if we can get that audio real quick from Jalen Johnson.
And your plans will succeed. I have come to understand what that means and what that looks like as I got older. I put myself out there to grow in my spirit and in my mind. I went to therapy last season for sexual addiction. That was the hardest thing for me to open up to my therapist about, as that is something that nobody knew about.
Well, the entire world knows now.
Yep.
Wow.
That's interesting.
I mean, listen, number one, I'm all for, therapy. Because, we had Hayden Hurst on a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I still feel like in NFL locker rooms, it's still taboo, right? There's still some of that toxic masculinity and everything. So go ahead, man. Speak your piece. Say what's true. If you saw a therapist, by all means, man, praise that. Celebrate that. Because people are watching. And people can take that and go, you know what? If he can go to therapy, so can I. But at what point do you kind of overshare and are like, well, yeah, I went to therapy for sex addiction, and no one knows that, but now you do. Now the entire world knows.
On, like, the biggest day of my career.
Wow. You just signed a brand new contract as a free agent and sex addiction, huh?
Yeah.
Thoughts, Casey?
Intriguing. I mean, I wouldn't have said it, probably.
Yeah.
To be real with you, but, shout out to him.
Dude, I mean, hey, bare your soul, I guess. Like, listen, I've always said on shows like this, I enjoy shows like this because I can actually bare my soul and I can tell what is what. But hey, man, if I got that Tiger Woods thing in me where, it's the sex addiction thing, that might have to stay to myself.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure I'm going to go campaigning that, especially when I just signed a new contract. Like,
opening monologue.
The optics. Yeah, you go to SNL and, hey, by the way, I'm a sex addict. And nobody knows about it. Now you do. Wild, man.
That is wild.
What a wild press conference. Hey, before we wrap up real quick, I teased it a little bit, Casey.
Oh, boy.
Getting off football a little bit here. Happened to see Casey Kurtz walking on the side of the street, going to Collective Con, if you will. And for those of you that are uninitiated, uninformed, Collective Con is like an anime convention. So I was there, closet. And hey, you may not know this, but I have a nerd addiction, okay? I have an anime addiction. And no, don't try to make it sexual. It's not that kind of addiction. I'm saying just an anime addiction. But anyway, so my son and I, we went to it. My son cosplayed. He dressed up, got all the pictures.
Really?
And by the way, it's so refreshing when I can just go to a place and all the attention's on him. And he loves it. He eats it all up. So yeah, he went as Chainsaw Man. Very violent, very bloody. I was going for Dad of the Year for sure.
Nice.
And he went as Chainsaw Man. Really cool. We see Casey Kurtz pulling in. Now, Casey.
Yes, sir.
I've been to I don't know, 8 or 9 of these anime conventions now.
Yep.
And I love anime and I love these conventions because everybody can be themselves, right? Like, good, bad, or indifferent. One year I had to explain to my son, hey, there's a lady that's charging $20 to step on people in the corner over there. And he asked, what was that about? And I had to go, you know what, son? People are into some weird things, but that's okay. Yep. We don't judge them, right? Just let them do their thing. They're not bothering us, right? And that's the type of things I teach to my son. Because that was taught to me, right? So nothing can really throw me off in terms of what are you going to wear? What are you going to dress up as? I mean, dude, my son was Lord Tengen from Demon Slayer last year. Now, if you don't know about Lord Tengen, he has 3 wives. So imagine me having to explain what a polyamorous relationship is to my 7-year-old son. Well, son, he has a lot of love to give. And he has so much love that he needed 3 wives.
That's not bad. That's actually a decent explainer.
Well, and then it was, well, Dad, why don't you have 3 wives? And I had to explain to him, well, your dad's tired and doesn't have a lot of energy. Your dad fights for a living, all right, making what he's making, and he doesn't have energy for 3 women in his life. I barely have energy for 1 woman in my life.
Not as good as an explainer, but that's fine.
Yeah, but that's what we had to go to.
Bro, let off with, I'm tired, son.
I'm tired, son.
This is all I got.
Okay, so now here's what I'm getting to. There was somebody at that convention, and I want to ask if you saw this person, that I was offended by in terms of their cosplay, in terms of who they dressed up as. To the point, once again, I'm Mr. Unflappable. You can't flap me. Come on, man. I've seen it all. Didn't see this one. Almost called the cops on this one. I was like, oh, you guys are having a cookout? Let me go and put my shades on and call the cops real quick because I'm shutting fun down. There was one person, I'll give you a little hint. It was a woman, and she was dressed as something. And Casey, I almost lost my mind. I was offended. Did you see who I was talking about?
I don't think I saw it, and here's why. I've been to a lot of these things for business, more so.
Sure, yeah.
And as you saw me yesterday, I was wearing like a T-shirt and shorts. I looked like the most. I hate to say the word normal. Like I really don't want to do it.
So was I. I mean, I had a Cowboy Bebop shirt on, but I was pretty normal as well.
I just had a plain gray tee on, right? So and like some golf shorts. Yeah. I just kind of, when I get in there, I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of like put my head down, go where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I do not remember this because if something's outrageous, I usually stop and admire.
Yep. So we're walking through like the main row where all the cosplayers are dressed up. And lo and behold, there's a Dobby from Harry Potter. It was a grown man dressed as a Dobby. Little freaky.
That's foul.
Little freaky. Skin was falling off. Yeah, a little freaky.
No, that's just, I'm out.
And next to Dobby, couldn't believe it, violating my Comic-Con experience, my Collective Con experience, was a woman, maybe a little younger than me, a little younger than you, cosplaying as Taylor Swift. And when I say as Taylor Swift, I'm talking Taylor Swift, what appeared to be the red era Taylor Swift. I got issues, Casey.
Yeah.
I got issues, I got complaints, and I got receipts. I get Taylor Swift is a global icon.
Yeah, huge, yeah.
And I'll probably get canceled for this, and I don't care, Swifties. Come for me if you want to come for me. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, no.
Keep Taylor Swift on my anime conventions, please. Do we not see her enough with NFL? Do we not see her enough on regular television and social media?
It's a lot of Taylor
She's got to infiltrate my anime conventions now as well?
Feels like a weird place for her to be.
I was pissed. I was absolutely right, and I almost called the cops. And that was just my rant for the day. You didn't see her?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you should have. She had like the boho hat on, the red lipstick, and then it was like
Really?
Taylor's version on her shirt. Yeah, man, I was disgusted.
Why go, though? Like,
yeah,
if you're dressing up as Taylor Swift, like, who are you there to see?
Good point.
Are you just hoping people take pictures with you at that point?
I mean, maybe. I didn't take a picture. I mean, I took a mental image of, I hope something, I don't want to say bad happened. I don't want to wish bad on anybody, but I'm like, you can go ahead and leave. You don't need to be here.
Yeah, it's not really the vibe.
Give me the furries all day. Give me the people rocking, the kitty cat butler wearing your underwear. That's fine.
There's a lot of that.
I'll explain that to my son all day. Not going to explain Taylor Swift at anime convention. Shouldn't have to. Don't have to. Crossing the line. I was offended.
It was more out of place. Me in a gray tee and golf shorts or the Taylor Swift cosplay?
I'm going to be honest. The last person I expect to see show up at a Collective Con walking through the parking lot at, 4:30 when the thing ends at, I think 6.
Yep.
Was Casey Kurtz, man. But hey, the guy had a job to do. You got your autographs, right?
They did.
All right, man. Enough said. Who'd you get, by the way, you said?
Good question. Trisha Helfer is who I got, actually.
Okay, and she's from Battlestar Galactica, right?
That's what they tell me.
I feel like she was kind of a popular person there.
what
Like
I
she had was it a long line for her?
It was.
Nice. But it was worth it though, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Now, are you gonna keep that, or are you gonna sell that? Okay, hey, we don't got okay.
That's a video exclusive only. But I realize now we're only on video. I used to be able to make face expressions and shake my head yes or no. Nobody had any clue unless you're watching the stream. Now,
all we are is a stream.
All we are is a stream.
Casey, welcome back, man. Great to have you. What do you want to see happen tomorrow in terms of free agency? Any big predictions you want to throw out there in the universe before we have to go out of here?
I just want to see nobody else get T. Higgins. So when the show is on tomorrow, that is still a possibility. Because if somebody else gets T. Higgins, I'll be upset.
If T. Higgins doesn't go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, where's he going? Do you think?
Big, somewhere big. Kansas City, something like that.
And can you see in a world where Calvin Ridley goes to New England, Carolina, or Tennessee?
I can, only because Carolina is in position where they are down as horrendous as anybody has ever been for anything for wide receivers, because they got to figure out something about Bryce Young. Adam Thielen not going to cut it. So I can see that scenario, but it involves a unbelievable amount of money being paid to Calvin Ridley by the Carolina Panthers.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot, and once again, that's gonna be a risk. But you got a guy in Bryce Young. Well, you have a guy in Bryce Young who needs some help, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't throw Adam Thielen 5-yard hook routes the entire time and expect to win some ball games.
Not for a whole nother season.
They
went 2 games without scoring, Austin. This is the NFL.
What are we doing, man? Casey, are you back tomorrow?
That's what they tell me.
Okay, well, hey, maybe we'll see you tomorrow then.
You never know. It's a tease.
Hey, you never know, man. Stay tuned. A lot more free agency coming up. We'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow. For Brent Martineau, for the man Casey Kurtz pushing all the right buttons, I'm Austen Lane. Stay casual, stay sane, and we'll see you tomorrow.